Hey, hello,
Hello.
hello.
Hello, SP friends. Welcome.
Yes, welcome back to All Things Scientology, in which we pull back the curtain on the abusive practices of Scientology. We are your hosts. I'm Claire Headley.
And I am Amy Scobie. And we have my wonderful husband, Matt Pesh, with us today.
And
Yes.
my wonderful
Yes.
husband, none other than Blown for Good himself, Mr. Marc Headley.
Hey guys,
Making a
thanks for having me.
splash entrance. Yes, of course. Are you kidding?
We
By
just finished the
popular,
live like 8 seconds ago.
we were totally watching. We
Yeah, we
were
watched
we were
it.
watching. Yeah. And Mike said that he would join. Mike Brown said he would join us in about 15 minutes, which is really nice of him.
Awesome.
Yes.
Sorry, I kind of crushed that. I had no, I wanted to catch him before he left completely.
No,
I know.
you
I
were
was
good.
like, I'm gonna put it up just to put
Yeah.
him on the spot.
I had already asked him, and he was like, "Oh, I've got some other things," and so I'm sorry, Amy, I didn't get the chance to text that to you, but it was kind of perfect because then he was like, "Oh, I'll just jump in for a little bit," and we were like, "That works too." As
I'm so happy
yes,
because it's such a fun topic, and boy, I just loved what you guys just did.
Oh yeah, that was really good.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff happened. I had no idea.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I heard about security flaps, but I didn't know what was going on behind the scenes.
Well, that
Yeah.
was the reason why I wanted to do the video, because I was like, I always remember when these flaps would happen, but we would never be told, like, well, what happened? Like, it was just like,
Right.
there was a real big security flap yesterday. And you're like, well, what does that mean? Did 5 people escape at once? Or, like, did somebody steal something? They would never tell us. And then,
Or did intruders get on the property? What should
Yeah.
we should be worried, right?
yes,
later on, when I was an executive in Golden Era Productions, then I was privy, and that's how I knew about some these PI ones and some of the other ones where, like after this one they did with Mike, they would just pay PIs because they were really afraid that the security guards might shoot one of them. And if you pay a private investigator to do it, and they've signed in the document that there is risk because the staff do carry weapons, and so it's like, okay, well, hopefully they won't shoot him. But Jackson almost did shoot a guy with a shotgun that was paid to break into the property, and we're definitely going to tell that story.
yes,
Oh
very
my God.
definitely.
I did
It's
hear
crazy.
about that. I did hear about that from Jackson too.
And-
I mean,
and boy-
talk about like if it was Danny Dunnigan, that guy would have been dead because he's like,
Yeah.
Well,
Keystone Cops.
Danny Dunnigan actually punched a protester that came to the booth. And in the early 90s, a protester was doing something, and Danny got into it, and Danny ended up punching him, and the guy ended up suing them, and he won. And they had to settle with this guy because it was like, your security guy punched me.
Right.
You can't do that.
Right.
Even
Yeah.
though Danny
Sure.
does it with the staff, it was so normal to him that he punched a civilian that had nothing to do with Scientology. He was a protester. So it was like, yeah, no, that doesn't work in the real world, or that only works inside the gates.
Yeah. And by the
And
way,
it shouldn't work there.
yeah, no, can I just pause to say, hey, amazing job to you wonderful SPs. We've all had a very suppressive day, and I'm so
Oh,
grateful to work with you all. And so amazing day.
Yes, more on that front later. But
Yes.
yes, it's fantastic things going on. Outreach type of things and
Yes.
support. Really fantastic. I love being part of this whole community and really contributing to exposing Scientology.
It's
Yeah.
so fun to be an SP. Actually, everybody should be one.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
is
it's
really.
amazing. It's
And-
very
and-
liberating.
And all the powers they tell you you're going to get in Scientology, we actually have them now. Well, you get them when you go SP. That's when you get all the powers.
We have all found that the world works in very mysterious ways.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh. So I do have a little bit of a week in review.
Nice. Of course you
And I
do,
do.
Miss Queen Bee.
Oh gosh. Well, I didn't do a full extensive one or anything, and I was unproductive this week video wise, but I got a lot of other things happening. But you guys have some good things. But let's just go ahead and share this. Are you guys ready?
Yes, we're ready.
Okay. So, week in review, all things Scientology, episode number 25 for 15 November 2023. So this is our 25th episode.
I can't believe that. Time flies. Seriously.
It does. So that's like 6 months. So that's pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah.
So recent videos, we've got this one you guys did, Scientology Spy Files. It says Scientology, what does it say? I got to make it bigger.
Scientology infiltrates SP birthday party with multiple spies. Scientology Spy Files number 22. So this was a photo that Mark and I were so innocently taking when our oldest son was about 3 months old. This was Mark's birthday party in 2006. And look at how much Osa was all over us.
Wow. I mean, were you a threat, Mark, or what?
I know. I was like, this is a big operation for cake and ice cream.
Oh
my goodness.
I have to get my tissues ready. I'm with Mark Headley again. But that's totally true. I mean, look at that photo. And just the whole, telling on people and that whole culture and stuff like that. What the heck?
Snitch.
Anyway, I loved that video.
Yeah,
I loved that video. Then another video that you did was about the subject of disconnection. Scientology finally admits disconnection is real. And I loved this video too. Of course, that whole subject is the biggest subject for me, because it's what got me speaking out. It's the thing, that mug on that TV set on CNN saying there's no such thing as disconnection. Look at your guys' faces in that picture. When he
look
said,
at my eyes. Look at my eyes.
Yeah,
What?
every one of you were reacting to him saying there's no such thing as disconnection because we were all going through the most horrendous disconnection situation.
Yeah, and the best was that he said most Scientologists are first generation, so they'd respect. I was like, that's the exact opposite. Most Scientologists are second generation. I was like, what a bunch of bull. This guy's got everything mixed up.
I know. I'll be honest. That part was lost on me when I first watched it because I locked in on the blatant lie. There's no such thing as disconnection. Everything else kind of blurred out in terms of focuses. But when we were doing this live, I was like, wow, this guy just has lies. Like nothing true comes out of his mouth, period.
Right.
As soon as he said that, I said to Amy, I said, I don't care how much time we lose from work, how much money we have to spend. We're going to expose Scientology and the bullcrap that's happening. Just from watching him lie like that on TV, got us so upset. He really activated us.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. We threw down the gauntlet right at that moment.
Yeah. Likewise. Likewise. So many people. Yeah, I know.
Thank you, Tommy Davis, wherever you are.
Thank you, Tommy Davis.
Now.
Yeah. Thanks for the reminder that my kids will never meet their grandmother. And yet you'll lie blatantly to the entire United States of America and internationally. It's just unbelievable.
How
and
ironic.
He looked like he got about 4 hours of sleep or less.
Yeah.
And how ironic that he's not there anymore.
Yeah.
I know.
That he blew.
Remember, he blew.
And yet he still talks to his mommy.
I know. Yeah, they make exceptions where it suits them.
He made a deal. He was like, I'm going to leave. And if you don't want me to say anything, I'm not getting declared. And he didn't get declared.
Is that really what happened?
Oh, 100%.
I didn't know that.
He's not saying anything against them, but he ain't putting up with Dave's nonsense anymore either.
Right. Yeah, I would love for him to tell the story, but anyway.
Right.
He doesn't have the backbone.
No.
That's a polite way of saying it.
I was just going to say that, but I think that's like a, cold day in hell. All right. And so then, of course, the next thing that you did was right before this, how we broke into Scientology's secret Sea Org base and escaped. So that was with Mike Brown. So a lot of people said that they came over directly from
I redirected to this.
That's awesome. Thank you, Mark. That's really awesome. And that video, I loved that video.
It was excellent.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching.
Well,
it's always, whatever. We lived in that strange world known as Gilman Hot Springs, secure compound, whatever, prison, whatever you want to call it. And so talking about the stories from there is beneficial and enlightens people as to the life that we knew. And I think it's a good thing to do.
Yes. And what better person for them to have do a military op sneak in on the property than Mike Brown.
Absolutely.
Oh, sorry. I made that in case, and then after I finished making it, I clicked it by accident. Sorry, guys.
Oh, okay.
That's okay. That's okay. We'll get to that. We got giveaways. We got all kinds of fun stuff tonight, right, Amy? Right, Matt? Right, Mark?
Yep.
Yay.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm going to finish on this, and then we'll tell you what we're going to have in store for you all. So the next thing on my little list is the comment of the week. And I picked this off of your channel, Claire and Mark.
Nice.
And this, oh gosh, I have to make this big.
I'll read it.
Okay.
Yeah, I got it. So Aurea,
this is off of the disconnection one, I think.
6262. You guys are amazing. The ability and desire to turn your deep and complex pain into multiple ways of helping others truly is transformative. It is inspiring too for everyone to see. Adding the reconnect aspect is absolutely genius and so important. I'm convinced it will help even more people. Just from observation, it does seem that reminding people of how much they are missed and loved with understanding and grace is the best way to reach them. And speaking out and sharing each person's own experiences, creating as many channels as possible, and all the incredible practical help. Just amazing. The aftermath rocks. You guys have thought of every possible angle and it's paying off. This is putting love into action at its finest. Ironically, that is also the exact opposite of Scientology. Another sign you know you're doing all the right things. Thank you all for caring so deeply and giving so much of yourselves in so many ways. Love, support, encouragement from Saskia.
Thank you. Wow.
Isn't that
That's
amazing?
a beautiful comment.
That's awesome.
Absolutely beautiful.
Yes. And
Thank
so
you.
they get to pick something from your store, right?
Yes.
Right to you and
Yes, and I'll take that opportunity to say that we just launched a new ugly Christmas sweater line. We have more designs coming, but it's known as the current sweater available is known as BT's Activate in Grinch Green.
Can I show it?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
let's
please
see
do.
it.
Please do. Here we go. BT's Activate ugly Christmas
Oh,
sweater.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Because you know what? If you're not having fun in life, doing what you love and have passion for, you're not doing life right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
we're gonna get a red one too. Oh,
Yes,
okay.
that's
love
going to
it.
be the angry elf red.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
And Mike has arrived. Mike Brown
Oh,
has
good.
arrived.
Oh, perfect.
So I'm gonna
Awesome.
add him in. So
Perfect.
let me go down here and add to stage. Hi, Mike.
Yay.
Yay,
Thank you so much.
Mike.
I didn't want to put you on. Yes, I actually did. What? Want to put you on the spot and get you to come on because it's so awesome. I loved that video that you just did, and we have a few fun things that we want to talk about on this live, which you're gonna have some fun things to contribute on.
Okay, great. Yeah, I will. I'll stay.
Yep.
I'll stay for a couple minutes, and then I'm going to go
Yeah.
try to help put kiddos to bed and get ready for my tomorrow. But I have a couple
Okay,
minutes to spare,
Solid
so-
plan. Solid plan. You
Thank
just you just blink twice when you need us to let you out. No, I'm
Right. Blink twice. So I'm going to show you just a couple more things, which is the word of the week, which is particle. Real world definition is a minute portion of matter. Okay, Scientology's definition is a body, dispatch, raw material, whatever that comes from a policy letter of 1972. It's a person or item that's seen as a thing to be dealt with. Example, I was always treated as an ethics particle, or don't put that particle on my desk. So that is perfect. And then quote of the week, people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel.
Boom. I love that quote.
Maya Angelou. Yeah, I had that on every email I would send out, because it's really an important thing. It's true.
It is.
And then photo of the week is the final thing, which is this one.
Nice.
And I wonder who they are. I see a little queen bee action there. I see a little Mike Rinder, gray hair, gray beard, and I see a little redheaded Claire Bear there.
Nice. Oh my gosh,
And
I love
that's
that.
from Candace again. I just had to show that. It was
Yeah.
just so awesome.
I have one of those.
There it is.
See? with a
Yeah.
Claire Bear trinket and a heart and a key. I love it.
Oh,
you.
I love
Thank
that.
you,
I love that
Clearwater
so much.
Cheryl. I love it.
Yes. So last week, we did an episode which was Jeff Foxworthy themed, where you might be a redneck if this happens or that happens. So we were
Yes.
like, okay, if this is the situation, you might be a Scientologist or you might be a Sea Org member. And we had so much fun with that. I laughed hysterically the entire time. I could not keep it together, especially because of Marc. And then the people in the chat were so adding all kinds of funny
Yes.
things. And oh man, anyway, it was a blast. So this is part 2.
If you call your wife sir, you might be in the Sea Org. There was so many hilarious.
Yeah, if you
ones
call
in the
your wife
comments.
Mr., you're definitely a Sea Org member.
Yes.
Oh, well, here's the first one I'll start with is if you always wear a fake Navy uniform and rank when you've never seen a day of military service, you might be a Sea Org member, right? I mean, that gets under everybody's
Okay,
skin.
let's get Mike's take on this.
Yes.
Come on, Mike.
Yeah.
Give us
He's
your
seen
thoughts.
both sides.
So
Yeah.
it's and I think we Sterling and I had talked about some of this stuff in detail, and they and I actually got a lot of flack because I compared Scientology to the LARPing community, which is the live action role play, the people that do
Yes.
this, and
the LARPers got mad at you.
well, I think it was an unfair statement because it was, and I kind of, like, hey, the nerds at the Renaissance Fair, and I have a cousin that's like big time
Oh,
into
no.
that.
Oh,
And my
that's
cousin
right.
Allison, she texts me later and she's like, "What's up?" And I was like, "Oh, boy." But in all seriousness, I think that they weaponize the a lot of the promotional things that the military actually does in order to recruit for military service. And with that, the military also promotes these are the benefits that you get from that. They rely heavily on like, hey, you can get a college degree, you can do a lot of stuff as part of your military service, you serve and you get certain benefits of that. Well, Scientology and the Sea organization, they've taken a lot of the very similar symbology and they're then piggybacking off of that to then approach Scientology civilian public or civilian children to get them to then want to go into the Sea organization. But the society has already seen a lot of the military propaganda for recruitment. So I think they're jumping on the backs of that, and it's very disingenuous, aside from the fact that it is, verging very closely on stolen valor and a lot of these other things. They I think have weaponized that to their advantage to recruit young kids. And by that, I mean kids under the age of 18, which,
Right.
and then some that were much younger than that. And I think it's disgusting. Having been one of them, I thought, that symbology, it makes you feel this like grandiose situation where you're involved in something that's larger than life. It's super important. And you don't realize how badly you're being taken advantage of as part of it, especially when you're so impressionable as a young person. And then to get out and actually be in, to have served in the military and see what that sacrifice actually looks like. And then to not have any organizational support connected with it is, it's very black and white for me. So yeah, I feel strongly about it. How about that?
Yeah, I bet.
I
know.
guess
I know.
so.
Speaking for both Marc and I, your stories moved us both incredibly deeply in this regard in terms of your service. Thank you so much for everything that you
Thank
have
you.
done.
I appreciate that.
And just sincerely, I mean it. And it really puts that whole system to shame, honestly.
And
Yeah.
the most awesome thing was everybody who knew you at that place knew if you got out of there, you were going to be in the military. Like it was not a question. I mean, this dude had camo. This dude was, he thought he was in the military before.
There was one person that was more military than I was.
Who was that?
He worked for you, Marc.
Oh, Sean.
Alcock.
Sean Alcock.
He's in a bunch of the videos. I'm going to show some videos when we do this. We're going to do a video with Mitch about making the films. And Sean Alcock was a Sea Org member at the Int Base. He grew up in the Sea Org as a child. He was born into the Sea Org. Both of his parents are in the Sea Org. His sister's in the Sea Org. But there's a video of him, and I thought, oh man, Sean would have done so. He would have been the most amazing
He would have
soldier.
easily
He
been
was
successful in special forces, and he would have loved
100%.
doing it.
And
Yeah.
hey, Sean, you still could be. Get on
Yeah.
out of there.
Yeah. Hey, an interesting statistical piece of information I thought I'd mention. Out of the kids that grew up and then escaped from Scientology and then kind of recreated their life, there's been several that have then gone and actually served in the military. And probably the large percentage, more than half, and this is a small handful of people that ended up going in that direction, are actually female.
Yep.
So and this is kind of just an interesting parallel between the way our life was and what some of these people decided to do out of the military. We were so heavily indoctrinated into a military mindset when we were there, and the way that we served, that a lot of us went and we joined the military, a lot probably by maybe 5 or 6. But that's statistically being heavier on the side of females serving than males is an anomaly.
Yeah.
And it's kind of worth mentioning that not only have they been able to go and serve, but they've been very successful doing so. Not that women can't, that's not what I'm trying to say, but by statistics in the population, if you just take any subsection of the population, you're not going to find that heavily weighted towards a lot of females joining the military. But out of those of us who did join, more females than males actually went to military service from the ranch.
Fascinating.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, we know the people you're talking about, and
We do.
I mean, it's funny that you say that now, because I never thought about it that way, but it was almost like they excelled in that environment because they were sort of indoctrinated very similarly.
Not sort of, definitely
but
fully
that also,
indoctrinated.
but they were also hard workers, so they
Yes.
could hack it at that they could do it. It wasn't. I mean, I don't want to say it's easier in there,
No.
but it's saner at least.
You
still having to work
rewarded
hard
for what you do. If you work hard, the military service is very much a meritocracy. It's not a democracy, but you will do as you're told. There's a rank structure, and it's like that for very good reason. But if you are like a performer and you do well at your job, you get 2 opportunities. One, you get the opportunity to move up and excel and get more money, get more rank, and you can, do a job that you very much like doing. And sometimes you're afforded the opportunity to do extra work that other people aren't doing too, which there you go.
Yeah. That's amazing. Awesome, dude.
Yeah.
All right.
that's
Sorry.
amazing.
Let y'all get on with it.
It's totally true. This person said, if every time you mention a woman, you have to say, I'm not sure what her last name is now, you might be a SEAL member.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's so true. There was a few gals that were going through dudes, and there were a few dudes that were going through gals.
Oh
You
my
can even get
gosh.
divorced and remarried, even if the person didn't escape. And so sometimes, there'd be a couple. I mean, I remember.
Do you remember Vicky Cheney?
Yes, I was just going to say.
She was Rosemary's twin on the RPF and PAC.
Yeah.
Vicky got divorced from the guy. He got sent down to PAC, and she was made to get divorced from him. She then married another guy when she was up there. She then ended up getting divorced from him. And then once she got off the RPF, she married her original husband.
Oh my goodness.
No.
So she was married to Jimmy Yo, right?
Yeah.
And she was
Yeah.
also
She was
married to
married to
Chris
Jimmy
Cheney.
Yo.
Chris
Chris
Cheney. She was
he
married.
got offloaded, sent to PAC. She married Jimmy Yo. Jimmy Yo is a declared SP. She was made to change her name, divorce Jimmy Yo, and then once she got off the RPF, she then got back with Chris and then got remarried.
That's
As
mind-boggling.
an example. So yeah, good point.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is one that goes along with the video that you just did. If your base security system resembles Fort Knox, you might be a SEAL member, especially the in-base.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's kind of crazy. The amount of people in the comments that said that place is like North Korea, like San Quentin. I was like, I never thought about it, but it might be easier to get out of a prison.
Right.
Yep.
And one of the people that were watching your video wrote this, and I noted it down for this video, which is, if you have to be smuggled out in order to leave, you might be a SEAL member.
Yes.
Yeah, what church do you have to like go in the trunk of a car or lay underneath the seat or something like that to leave your church?
Yeah,
except for
hey.
Scientology.
Hey, by the way, for the record, the first time I ever blew was when I was 8 years old, and it was in the back of a van, laying down, hidden away. And I was
In
blowing.
the UK.
Yeah, in the UK. I was in the cadet organization, and I was escaping to go see my mother. So there you have
Wow.
it.
See? You
Yep.
had to get smuggled. Oh
Yep.
my gosh.
Yeah. So when I was when Mark had escaped, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I can do this, and I was like, no, wait a minute, I've done this before. I have escaped before. I can do this.
I mean, boy, it takes guts. I had him there helping, even though they had us separated. I just knew that he was there, you know.
Yeah.
And you had to do it by yourself because Mark was already out in the free
Well,
world.
well, Mark.
Well, I got
Mark,
her out.
We
I did it.
connected. We
the
connected.
only way I could
didn't
get
do
her
it without him.
Yeah, the only way I could get her out was to be on the outside.
Yeah, I
Okay,
came to that conclusion. I realized
I
could
planned the whole
not.
thing. I planned the whole
No,
thing. It
no,
worked
you
out
didn't.
perfectly. Yeah.
No, you didn't. It's
You're
okay.
Mark.
Life has
so
a way of
amazing.
figuring itself out the way it's meant to be.
Yes.
So there you go.
The best one was
But anyway, I was trying to say you were brave. You were very brave.
Thank you.
she was.
The best what? Were you gonna say,
I was
Mark?
going to say that when I was in Kansas City and she got there, when she actually made it there, and we met at the bus station. It's in my book if you want to read the whole story.
It's like a Hallmark movie.
But on the way back from the bus station, I guess I didn't even get to fill out my profile on Match.com. I was like, I didn't think you were ever coming. But so every once in a while, somebody will say like, oh, I met this person on Match.com. I'll be like, dude, I had a Match.com account for one day.
Like, thanks.
Did you
honey.
actually? You did not.
No, it was a
Of
joke.
course not. Just making sure everyone knows it was a joke. Oh my God. How about if your boss can pull a birthing card requiring that you sleep outside in the field?
Did you guys
Why
ever do a
is
team
there
show?
cover?
Did we ever do a team share episode?
No, we should do
we
that
need
with
to do it.
We
Jackson.
need to.
We should do
Yeah,
one
we need to do
like
it.
in depth with examples
Yeah.
with
I
all
made
of
a-
us.
I put that on a list. I can't believe we never did team share.
Yeah, I'll make a note
this
of
is
it
an
now.
L. Ron Hubbard. It's an L. Ron Hubbard program, which I was told when I became WDC Gold to get it in gold, and it's the most unpopular piece of crap ever, where you can get all your rights just pulled away by your boss. And
Anybody. Anybody senior to you can just ask for your card and
Well,
take away your meal
especially-
card, your
Yeah.
birthing
Well, you have
card.
to you have to explain it. You have there's
There's
five.
five
you-
elements.
cards.
There's
Yeah.
5 cards. So there's the social card, which means that if they're allowing days off, then you qualify for days off. And this is part of the problem built into the problems with the system. Nobody ever got days off. There's also
It's
the
a
next card
throwaway
is the
card.
bonus card.
Also a throwaway
Again,
card.
also a throwaway card. Exactly. Well
yeah.
said, Mike. Thank you very
Burner.
much. Let's get to the point. Then there's the
pay card.
social.
pay card.
Also
And
a
again,
throwaway card.
also a throwaway card. Exactly. So if staff are getting paid, you get paid. Then there's the meal card, right? The chow
Yeah.
card.
Yep.
Kind of
Well,
also a throwaway because, budgets were
That's just
often
the ticket.
cut.
That's just the ticket to get beans and rice.
True.
I mean,
Yeah.
you just
Yeah.
use
True.
that. You just eat a lot of
Yeah.
really not Mexican food.
Yeah.
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 And
You
last but not
lose-
least,
yeah.
And last but not least is the birthing card. And again, kind of a throwaway card because you're crammed into an apartment with multiple couples.
Yeah, but then you can't even do
But if
that.
if you
I
can't
mean-
even do that, then they put you in pig's birthing. I mean,
yeah.
miserable
Yeah, or
life.
out on the field. Some people had
Yeah.
to sleep out on the stupid
It's
field. I had to
in
sleep.
in the sprinklers.
And in the L. Ron Hubbard policy, it says you may end up if you can't get into pig's birthing, you might end up on the golf course. And in
Yeah.
those days,
It's not a real
the
golf
Sea Org
course.
members would sleep on the golf course. It wasn't a public course; it was within the property, and they would sleep on the golf course because L. Ron Hubbard said you gotta if you lose that card. So if you lost any one of these cards, you would lose that privilege, but you would lose them starting at the bonus card all the way down. And some people would get in an argument with their boss, and he would say, okay, I'm taking a card. And then if you keep arguing, because I'm taking another card, you could lose all 5 cards in 5 minutes and have no pay, no birthing, no food, no bonuses, just lose everything in 5 minutes in a conversation.
Yeah. And by the way, can I just pause to make a
with
point?
a teenager who doesn't even know what they're talking about.
Yeah. And by the way, let's not forget, if you had all 5 cards, just like a kindergartner, you got a star that you could wear on your uniform.
Yeah.
What did they call that? What was
A
it?
star.
Yeah,
Team share
it's
star.
called the star.
Team share star.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
All the
Oh my
suck
gosh.
ups
So
always
embarrassing.
had their stars. All the ass kickers always had their stars. I remember I hated those guys with the stars. Yeah. I don't think I had 5 cards for more than like a week in the 15 years I was there.
Yeah.
Oh, you did.
it
You
was-
had the longest record of liberties taken for.
Well, not
for
yeah,
any
but after
person on that
93,
property.
there was 93 was the cutoff. 93 were the golden years. If anything good was happening, it was very scarce. It was in those 3 years. But after 93, no, never.
No.
True.
Yeah. That's when you know who went completely nuts. David
Oh
Miscavige.
yeah. Yep.
If he wasn't already. But yeah, he
Team
said to
share.
me, Matt said to me, on the team share system, that one thing alone should have been a clue of how insane L. Ron Hubbard was to us.
Yes.
I mean, it should have just been like, okay, you're going to put your dedicated staff out sleeping in a field where they can get bit by rattlesnakes or can't have food or can't, it's like, what is this?
Oh, well, we
Yeah, I
should
did
say
that once. Go ahead.
once you lose a card, in order to get a card back, you have to have your statistics up. They have to be up enough that you could say, I need a card back. And also you have to do a thing saying, I would like the card back. It depends on the year or the system that was in place at the time. But no matter what, and the cards were credit cards that said Golden Era Productions, Team Share. And then it said,
Different
bonus card.
colors.
And it looked
Yes.
like an Amex, and it had your name punched into it, just like a credit card. And the person who was supposed, you could lose a card getting in an argument with your boss. That was a separate thing, which wasn't supposed to happen. And it says in the system that's not supposed to happen, but it eventually would always happen. But if your statistics were down, you would just auto lose a card. So if your stats were down, you'd lose a card. So if your stats were down 5 weeks in a row, you'd lose all 5 cards. If your stats went up, then you'd get a card back. It was this constant thing. But the best part of it was the police, the place called the ethics department. It's like always was like a handful of people, but too many people being bad and not enough police to keep track of it all. So when they would take your card, they would just throw it in a desk drawer. And so when you needed to get your card back, it was like, where's my freaking card? And they'd be like, we don't know, we can't find it. So they were losing cards. But remember at staff meeting, there used to be a thing where we would get paid after staff meeting, and you would line up in the pay line, and you had to show your pay
You had to have your card. Or you're
And
not
if you
getting
didn't
it.
have your pay
Oh,
card,
man.
you couldn't pick up your pay. And so sometimes you'd be like, you get to the front, and you'd be like, they'd be like, pay card? And I'd be like, no, I have my pay card. Gerald couldn't find it. So it's like, no, you got to get your pay. I'm like, but he can't find it, but I need to get paid. And it's like, gotta show your pay
so
card.
bad.
So there would go years, it would go in and out, and it would be like, oh, you came to pick up a bonus, and you're like, yeah, it's $14 for Christmas. Okay, so, sue me. It's like, you have a bonus card, and you'd be like, no way. The Christmas
You
bonus
could
is
lose
$14.
all of the cards.
Yeah.
You could lose all the cards in 1 week if you piss somebody off.
Yeah.
But it would
Yes.
take
Yeah.
5 weeks of up statistics to get them all back.
It could take a
Yes.
year. It could take a year
Yeah.
to get those 5 cards back. A year.
Yeah, because
And
We played it
we're
once.
not even we're not even factoring in if you're in a lower condition. Like stats is one thing, but getting out of lower conditions and getting entire 400 people of Golden Era Productions to sign their signature to let you back in. I mean, that's a big endeavor.
What was
yeah.
it? What?
Yeah, after we played it once, and I got to see how crazy it was. When I went to play it the second time, I said, no, just keep the freaking cards. I'll go sleep in the garage. I'll eat rice and beans, which is pretty much what I'm doing anyway. So just keep it. I'm not even going to put you in a position where you can jerk me around,
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were going to implement it in CMO Int, and I was like, oh, this is for goals.
Yeah. Yeah, because it
1100
really
said
it
gold.
really was for gold, and they did have it years here and there. The international
Never
management guys
stated.
got them as well, but then it would
Yeah.
very quickly fall out
Yeah.
because
Like,
they would
never.
literally be like, okay, everybody's going to start with 5 cards, and then like 2 hours later, okay, now nobody has any cards. It's just like, what? People get drunk with power when they can take someone's cards from them.
They sure do.
The people that loved being the kissers of the backsides would always be the ones that be like, you could just say they have a thing in the Sea Org, which when you talk back, it's called backflash. And that's illegal in the Sea Org, backflash. And somebody would say, you need to do this and this and this. And you'd be like, well, I'm doing on something for COB. That's backflash. You lose a card. And you're like, what?
Backflash should be our word for next week, Amy.
Yeah, backflash.
Yes,
FO38. Unnecessary response to an order.
Yeah.
I wanted to show this one, which says, question, Mike, how long did it take for you to start caring about normal things after getting back from the war zone?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
It's a work in progress. Let's put it that way.
It's a work in progress.
Yeah, I have a lot to be thankful for, but there's a lot of trauma. I'm in probably a weird situation, and I don't want to say that this is only me, but I went right from a very high stress organization that I worked in, which made me very adapted to go into military service because I was used to a very high stress and something less than that in terms of the way that they deal with people. I'm dealt with much better in the military, but I've also had a lot of deployments. So with that, it's definitely a balance between going from one and going to another, but sometimes it's a lot. And that's typical for service members. And it would also be typical of other people that grow up in situations that are not Scientology that are also stressful in military service. So I'm very fortunate to be where I am. But I would say that military service probably isn't for everyone. But I'm glad that I've had the opportunity to do what I do.
Yeah.
Great.
Good.
We
I didn't
appreciate
want to
you,
let
Mike.
that go. Yeah, exactly. I didn't want to let that question go by.
Yeah.
I had one other question that, or one that said that I want to see what you have to say about this, Mike, which is if you refer to the room that you sleep in as berthing, you might be a Sea Org member. Do military people even call it berthing or what?
So you'll find that, so there's in the like the Army or the Marine Corps or the Air Force, the Marine Corps probably has similar nomenclature to what the Navy does. But a lot of these terms, you're going to have your berth is where your actual bunk is in, like on a boat. So if you're berthed somewhere, that is where you're staying, and also the docking location for a boat would be its berthing as well, or its berth. So you're going to hear that probably in the Coast Guard or in the Navy, possibly in the Marine Corps. In the Air Force or in the Army, it would be a little bit different. It would usually be referred to as either quarters or barracks.
Okay.
Nice.
Quarters or barracks. Yeah, we always, and I still even sometimes say it because I'm just so used to it.
I'm going back to berthing.
I'll be like, honey, I'm going to secure for the night.
Yeah, I say secure all the time.
And I ask her if she has her card. If she doesn't have the berthing card.
That's nice.
Yeah,
Hey,
Claire's going to go to bed.
Yeah.
And
what are you
Mark's
doing
going to stay up and finish
here?
watching the Real Housewives or whatever.
Yeah.
Didn't you lose your berthing card last week for not doing the dishes? Why don't you move over
on the couch,
bro?
Hey, now, wait a minute.
Go back in your hole, Mark. You don't have a berthing card.
You can stay down in the basement, honey.
even it goes along with this next one, which is if a common order concludes with and no one secures until this is done, then you might do this.
Oh my gosh.
That was always the humdinger.
We say that to each other all the time. Just
no one secures until this is done.
Oh, we always say that to each other.
Oh my goodness.
Don't secure until it's done.
But you would have somebody like Mike. Mike sometimes would be this person. This order is this because he was the one who was in charge of getting chairman of the board, RTC, David Miscavige. He was in charge of getting his orders complied to for Golden Era Productions. So sometimes it was like, this order is supposed to be done today. It has to
And
be
if
on his
if
desk.
it's not going to get done today, today won't end until it's
That's right.
over. And that
Today
might be
does
several
not
days from
end
now.
because it's getting done today. And we would be
Yes.
like, oh shit, man.
Mark, do you remember when we were doing all the meter upgrades after the Golden Age of Tech launch in '96, where we are up day after day after day?
Yeah.
And then
Quantum upgrades.
And then it was a
Yeah.
Thursday night, and then all of a sudden everyone was sent home out of the blue. Just at one night, just like everyone was like, everyone got to go home right now.
Yeah.
The story behind that is I was sitting through financial planning on Thursday night. I had probably been up for 4 or 5 days and not slept. And now I'm sitting through financial planning as like a
Oh God.
19, 20-year-old kid that's in this executive position in gold. And I fell asleep while I was sitting in the advisory council financial planning meeting on Thursday night. So I wake up to somebody shaking me and going, "Hey." And I wake up and I kind of focus in on the rank on the dude's shoulder, and it's Dave standing there. And he's like, he asked me a question. He's like, why are you asleep? And all I said was 4 days. I had answered like how many days I had been awake.
Yeah.
So then he was
Wow.
like, he came in this, and this is the what was so strange is his orders were the things that would keep us awake. And once everyone was at the point of complete delirium, he would come swooping down in and saying, "Why are all these people awake? Let me send you home for the night."
Yes.
And everyone
And then
got
he's a
sent
hero.
home, and it was like,
Yeah.
and then
It
he's
was
the
like-
hero. So
Yeah.
it was this back and forth thing of
Oh
like,
my gosh.
we're awake because this dude's yelling at us, but then we
Yeah.
get sent home and you get like one night's sleep, and that lasts for maybe a week, and then everyone's all up late nights again. Anyway,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So many
And
times.
He
So
was
many
also the
times
one that would be
happened.
like, why are they getting paid? They're not doing anything. Nobody should get any money. Nobody should be paid. And then so we wouldn't get paid. It would just be like, that would be the first thing that would get cut was the pay. And then after like a year, he would say, someone would, Rick Cruzen would be digging a refry out of a cigarette ashtray outside of an office. And Dave would be like, dude, you can't afford cigarettes? He's like, sir, we haven't been paid since 1991. And it's like, what? And then it would be like,
Write
COP's
an
ordering
issue.
that everyone's getting paid. Everyone has to get paid. And you're like, dude, we're the reason he wasn't getting paid in the first place.
yeah.
Yeah, crazy.
It happened
Anyway.
all
Mike,
the time.
Mike, you'll let us know when we need to let you go.
I have about 5 minutes, and then I'll dip out, but I can
Okay.
do probably one or two more.
Okay, awesome.
So how about we there's some questions that are specifically for you. So why don't we
Okay,
find
yeah, let's do those, and then I might
Um,
bounce and go not be a deadbeat dad. So that'll be good.
Thank you.
Oh,
you're
yeah.
you're never
you.
that, but thank you for
Yeah,
your time.
come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
You know what? I think that here's one.
I think it provided me an opportunity to. So the question, and I'm sorry, I would butcher your name if I tried to say it. Auntie
Auntie
Andy
Harju.
Harju?
Auntie Harju.
Harju. Yeah.
So Mike, did you feel like the Army saved you from Scientology? So the thing that saved me from Scientology was escaping. And I think the Army provided me an opportunity to reach my potential. So when I left, I had no credit history. I had no money. I had very little education, and it provided, they took, I went in and said, I'd like to serve. They then said, okay, well, let's test you and see hey, do we have a corner we can stick this guy in? And they're like, after the testing, they're like, oh, your aptitude's really high. You're quite intelligent. Let's see if we can get you in a job. And then because I mentioned it's a meritocracy, you can then proceed from there. So if you work hard, you have opportunities, you can then work on your education. I did very much. And I was able to go very much, even though I started late, towards the career that I wanted. And I'm very, very thankful for everything that I have now and the opportunities I've been provided. So I guess
Nice.
yes, but probably a long way to say it.
Yeah. Awesome.
But that's okay. I mean, that's
That's awesome.
very good. Yeah.
Good answer.
Okay, here's another one. It says
From
this is a
YouTube user. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah,
Mhm.
It says, yes, Mike, we appreciate your service to our country. Thank you. And that's from
Thanks, Tammy.
Tammy. Yes. And I was just trying to see if there was anything else that I didn't star, because I saw things that said questions. And I'm sorry, guys, if there's any that I missed while I was intently either laughing or paying attention to what was being said. But
Well,
but
maybe we can do one more of the funny questions, and then maybe I'll duck out after
Okay.
that. Does that
Yeah,
sound
there
cool?
we
Okay,
go.
let's see.
Perfect.
Okay.
yeah. Okay, good. So let's see.
I'll say
Yeah.
what secure is too, because people were asking in the chat. Secure just
Oh,
means
really?
when you go to sleep for the night. That's all. It's when you
Such a
like
weird
secure.
term.
Yeah, secure your
Is that
quarters, and
military?
I think it's on the boat, because if you secure everything before you go to sleep so that
Yeah, so it
nothing
doesn't
gets
slosh
rocked
over the side.
around. Yeah.
Yeah.
So whenever we would go to sleep, that if you wanted to go to sleep, you would basically ask your senior, "Can I secure?" And then if they say, "Yeah, you can secure," then you would go to sleep.
Good. Okay. And then we'll do another one. And I also want to promote your channel too,
Yes.
which is at Mike Brown 101. You just made
I'm
what,
at 5K.
5,000?
Nice.
That's
Yeah.
so
This is,
awesome.
I guess, kind of
That
my
is so
5K
awesome.
celebration video.
Yay. So
Yes.
everybody here, if you haven't subscribed to Mike Brown 101, get on over there. It looks like we have you well over 5K now, Mike.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah,
And then
5,600.
Yeah.
of course, I do have some of these like little guilty pleasures that I do in terms of videos talking about things that are more enjoyable. But sometimes in this, the two things that I'm kind of focusing on my channel are, for those that don't know, I was able to help my mother escape from a very abusive situation in Scientology. And we were very, very fortunate to have a lot of the support from the Aftermath Foundation. And we were able to get her out into a safe location. And she's doing wonderfully now. So a lot of that senior abuse I detail on that channel. It's kind of a culmination of a lot of other platforms that have helped me share that story about my mother. So that's what we do there. And then I also speak a lot about the time at the International Ranch. I'll be doing more of that where the kids were kept, and then my time at Golden Hour Productions too. So there's going to be some new content coming soon from some other creators. And as those things come available, I'll make sure that I post them there.
Amazing.
Yes.
Oh, and I
Nice.
should
So
mention
awesome.
too that we set up at the Aftermath Foundation as its own dedicated YouTube channel now. So we have the Surge documentary there. We have kind of a short explaining the Aftermath Foundation and its purpose, and we'll post new documentaries there as well. So if you haven't subscribed there, please get on over there and do so when you have a moment.
Nice.
Yes. I think
Absolutely.
it's just got a couple people so far because we need to get
Yeah, we
everybody
haven't
over
talked
there.
about it yet. So at
Yeah,
the Aftermath
yeah.
Foundation, dedicated foundation YouTube channel. So there you go.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
It's fantastic. And I'll make a banner so people know what it is. So the final one before we conclude, if you're 70 years old and still sleep in a bunk bed, you might be a Sierra member. Yeah.
There's that. There's
Well,
some truth there.
There
Yeah.
is some truth there,
And
right?
for
What's the
those that don't
highest?
know,
Yeah.
for those that don't know, like in the Los Angeles base where they have right there between Fountain, L. Ron Hubbard Way, and Sunset, they have a big thing they refer to as the complex. That's kind of the inside baseball name for it. But it's all those organizations that sell Scientology services to
It's the
civilian
big-
Scientologists. Big
It's the
blue
big
building.
blue building with the giant white or gold or whatever it is Scientology sign on it. It's in all the books and
Promo.
papers, and
Yeah,
whenever they show a
exactly.
picture, they usually show that building.
Well, on the second floor of that building is where they kept the old people. That big building is all what they refer to as berthing, like living quarters for staff members that work at those service organizations that are selling things. These people are packed in like sardines, and the ones they can't fit in there, which are the ones they want to keep close or physically can't like go to the one down the street, which is a huge shithole there too.
Yeah.
But in this one place that they had on room 206, they had a bunch of old people stuffed in there. It's like sleeping in bunk beds. Old women in their like 70s, 80s, and 90s, like packed in
my
there
God.
in a room that was an old mechanical room, and this is where they slept. It was not even. They didn't have a window. They poked a hole in the wall and put an air handle in there that went into the elevator shaft so that they could have heating and cooling. This is how their old people were living. So if you want to know more details, you can definitely check them out on my site. But so for all of those under the radar Scientologists that probably are checking out a lot of these things and, kind of just playing it cool, if you're receiving Scientology services at one of these organizations, the people that are there with a smile on their face that think they're saving the world are indentured servants and are living like absolute slaves. It is horrible. And I don't want to sound overly sensational about all of this, but it's absolutely true. Going over the details, is horrific. So think about that. If in terms of what they're selling, what you're receiving, and the way these people are living and working around the clock. So there's some comedy to it, and it's nice that we can laugh about it now. But the importance that I want to call to everyone's attention: there's still people in this problem that are there now that are elderly and dying, that are working for this organization that is harvesting their money from them.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the reason we know a lot of this is because his mother was just there. Like she was there 2 years ago. She was in that place. She was there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And
Worked to
they,
death.
yeah, she literally passed out and they were like, oh, well, you can't
Looks like
work
she's
as
gonna
long
die.
as you were working. So you might end up needing to die. But
Yeah, the
it's crazy.
specifics we've heard about the people still there. You're right, Mike. That's what we need to focus on, is getting those people out and getting them help and getting them back to their loved ones, because it's absolutely unacceptable. And the bottom line is that the Sea Organization is a slave labor camp. It's not designed to help elderly people, and nor do they have any intention to, and they're not going to change their ways. So we need to get those people out so they can live out the rest of their days in peace.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I do need to bounce, but thank you so much for having me on for a couple minutes. I very
Thank
much
you,
appreciate the
Mike.
invite.
Always a
Yes.
pleasure.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thanks, dude.
absolutely.
All right,
Thank you so
I'll catch
much.
y'all later.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye-bye. Yes. And somebody commented here, I just noticed, maybe Rosemary's escape story should have a link on the Aftermath Foundation. I think we do have that, right?
No, not on the YouTube channel. We have a dedicated thing coming on that.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll get there.
thank you.
No worries. It's in the works.
Yes.
Never
Yeah.
fear.
Never fear.
We have
I
that
think
on the list.
At this juncture, we should do a giveaway. A lot of people have said
Yes.
mercy like
Yes,
crazy, right?
definitely. Let's
Yeah.
do that.
Okay, good. So do you want me to do it, Mark, or do you want to do the honors?
Whatever. You could do it.
Okay.
I'm easy.
Okay.
People
So-
complain I yap too much, so I'm like, I'll just be quiet.
You do? Okay, I'm gonna yap. So anybody in the chat, do hashtag merch me.
Exactly
And-
as it's written there, right? We have to make that
Exactly
clear
as it's-
because some people were unclear
Yeah,
on that.
just
No
like that.
spaces, just like that.
No spaces.
Exact.
Hashtag merch
The
me.
capitals and the non-capitals don't really matter. As long as you say merch me, those letters, whether capital or not capital, it'll count.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
So
if you
it
match
looks
it,
like
it'll
there's-
definitely count.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't have to do it more than once because it just counts one time. And I see that there are almost 200 people, 205 people. I'm going to do a draw. And now this is going
hold
to
on.
be
But hold on. As an example of what will not be entered is this.
right.
Merch me.
Fix
There's
that.
no hashtag and there's a space. I just wanted to make sure
Yes.
that R.R.
Yeah.
Smith, you should re-enter with hashtag merch me. There you go.
Yes. And Anna, put a hashtag there.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay, good. So I'm going to give you guys a second to put in a new one. Okay, so what are we going to give away this time?
I can. Yeah. We could do anything from your merch store or my merch store, whatever they want, or a Blown for Good merch store, whatever they want. They could just email either you or me.
Because you can
Okay,
send them
so-
a link and they just order it and it takes care of the shipping, and we don't even need them to send an address. We just send them a link and they can just get whatever they want.
Okay, awesome. Good. Okay, so here we go for the first one.
I like this.
I do
Look at that.
too. It's so
I like
so
how
cool.
it cycles
I have it
through
in the
everybody.
white mode because you can also see the confetti.
Ah,
Fierce wielder of choice.
Wow.
Boom. I love that
Yeah.
name.
Bonanza.
Fierce wielder of
Wielder.
choice.
Yes.
Love it.
So take your pick on what you want, and then send the applicable person your email or no, what? Just the
Yeah.
link.
If they
Just
email,
a link to whatever they want from either your merch store or
Yeah.
my merch store, either to Amy at scoby-publishing.com or Claire
Yep.
at blownforgood.com. CLAIRE with an E at the end.
That's right. With an E.
Yeah. I've had some people accidentally send it to just CLAIR and then they wonder why I don't respond. That's
I
what
see.
Marc calls a case of too much resistance.
yes, Ohm's law.
Yes.
That's why his name is Matt with only one T.
Yeah, super easy.
Super easy. Nobody gets
Yes.
it right though. Oh my gosh. Okay, good. Well, we've got a few more of these, and then let's get these all wrapped up in this stream, because then we'll move on to something like Thanksgiving's coming up, guys.
Yes.
Nice. We have so many surprises for you
Oh
guys.
my goodness. We're gonna have
we
next week is a very big week, as was this week.
Yes.
We're just
Yes.
nonstop doing good things, right, Amy
Yeah.
and Matt?
Yes, absolutely. It's so much fun. Okay, so let's see. If you've grown used to being under security watch, you might be a Sea Org member or might have been one. Oh, yeah. It was like, I was always under watch. Did you
I
guys
was
get put
too.
under watch?
I
yeah.
was under watch so many times.
Yeah,
I was on
Me too.
perimeter list, and I just couldn't get off. No matter what, I couldn't get off that list. I was just like, and right when I was about to get like, okay, I'm gonna be able to get off the list, and then Dave would say something, and I'd just be like, oh man, I'm going back on the list. There's no way I'm getting off. And then, there was one time I was on for a year. I didn't go home for a year. I was at the base.
I was probably under watch less than any of us, I'd guess. But I still was. So, you know.
Yeah. Did you get put under watch?
Oh yeah, on every one of those bases I was on the watch.
You were on the pack base. Which ones?
Int base, pack, and also flag.
Yeah.
Sure. Sleeping in a closet with the security guard outside. So to open the door, I'd have to bump into the guard and wake them up or something. You know, this time, with the guard outside the building, with the guard roving, with the guard at the main gate. That whole thing at the Hacienda Gardens in Clearwater, yeah.
But he's a Scientologist in good standing.
You should see what they do to the guys they don't like.
Yeah.
With Scientology, it's always worse than you think. That's a truth.
Yes.
These are the people that work there. We're not.
Yes.
We signed a billion-year contract, and this is how they treated us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, and then this was I think somebody brought this up. If you're worried that your captors might get in trouble if you try to blow.
Oh, completely. Completely.
Yeah.
I actually had to deal with that weird false sense of guilt in therapy.
Yeah.
I really did. Because
interesting.
it was just so heavy, and like, for example, anyway, whatever. It's just weird. It's mind games. The mind games built in by being born and raised in Scientology. But that's absolutely true.
Letting people down, you know, because you get shamed on things like that, you know, because you give your honor and your loyalty, and now you're letting them down. It's like
every veteran Sea Org member who left has nightmares and dreams about going through that whole thing of leaving and, I think I'm back in again. How the heck did I wind up here? And those are repetitive dreams that go on for years, decades after leaving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've brought this up before, but I read the book Trauma and Recovery by Judith. I can't remember her last name right now. Judith H. It's one of the classic books on PTSD, and it outlines some of the studies that were done on deserters from the military after World War II and Vietnam Veterans War. And they actually isolated that military should be kept in groups of 5. That number specifically, and I'm sure that rings
Groups
a
of
bell
5.
to all of you, because in Scientology, the organizing board is structured such that you will never have more than 5 juniors.
5 people.
And it's to build in this loyalty and this dependence that you don't want to betray those people. It's a small enough group that you're close enough to your coworkers that you cannot betray them. And I just found that absolutely fascinating.
That's probably one of these. L. Ron Hubbard knew this datum. This is going to be a control mechanism. Let's pick that one.
Yes,
you know?
completely.
Yeah.
It's
completely.
It's baked into the Scientology organizing board, which every single Scientology organization follows that model. It's crazy if you think about that. He knew, keep them in small groups, and they won't be. They'll be reluctant to abandon the group and they'll put up. They'll put up with all this nonsense and do all this to not be that deserter.
Yep.
Right.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Wow.
Yeah.
How about this one? If you've been beaten by your religious leader, you might have been a Sea Org member.
Yeah. Oh my God.
The Pope beat me up. I got to go.
What kind of freaking leader is that?
Mhm.
Let's see. Somebody, this was a watcher wrote this one. If you work until you drop dead, no retirement, you might be a Scientologist or a Sea Org member.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't retire.
Yeah.
Retire is not
You
in the
see when
vocabulary.
you're there, right, Amy? You would see these older people and they would just disappear. And like, hey, what happened to, blah, blah, and be like, oh, I think he went to go live with his family in Australia or something like that. It was always like, oh, that's cool. Good for him, And then when you find out, no, they got them all in LA at a better place. No one's going anywhere. They're literally going to this place and they're just sucking
so
them
sick.
all their money dry. And you're like, what?
Yeah,
Yes.
the creepy and bizarre and sad fact is that in Scientology, the concept even of retirement is considered to be work oriented, which is an evil thing in Scientology. It's just crazy. Like people do not live forever. I'm not going to live forever. None of us are. So, the fact that it's unfortunate, but it's baked in that they have no system because L. Ron Hubbard died before Sea Org members were getting old and passing away. So there's no system. And anyway, that's why we need to get these people out and they need to live out their days in peace.
Yeah, and tell them about the staff meeting that you had.
Oh, just it came up, was announced at a staff meeting that there's no more special schedules for like the elderly or the sick
Episode at
at Flag.
In
And it was,
Clearwater.
in
Yeah.
Clearwater. And so if you couldn't do the full schedule, which is like 80 hours a week, then you
That's
were
a
going to
bare,
be just,
bare minimum, 80. I think
A
it's
bare
actually
minimum.
100
That's a
is
good
just
week.
normal schedule. It's 100 hours a week.
Yeah,
And if
that's
you
right.
stay late, it goes up to 120 or 130. But
Yeah.
but they
Right.
did that for all of the elderly. Like I think that anybody like 70 or above, or did they do it even
They,
less?
they said, listen, there's no more special schedules. If you're 80 years old and you can't do the full schedule anymore, we're just going to put you out in the street. And that was the same with the sick people.
Yeah,
Yes,
offload.
it was announced at the staff meeting, at the end of the week with all the crew there. And I'm looking around like, are you guys getting this? Like, do you understand what just got announced? Like, you guys think you're gonna be taken care of when you get elderly, or you're gonna get on a reduced schedule? If you can't do the full deal, after you've been here for 40 years, they're gonna just stick your ass on the street.
Yeah, and they don't have
So, yeah.
severance pay. There's no
No.
golden parachute. It's see you wouldn't want to be you. Boof, you're
Right.
out.
Right.
Sometimes they used to in the old days, they used to give you $500, and
And then
that
take out the plane fare from it.
exactly the plane ticket could be $395 or $425, and it's like,
That's what mine was.
okay, we giving you your $500, and your ticket was $475, so here's $25,
Yeah.
and you're like,
Yep.
I was here for 15 years, right? Yeah, yep, $25. Happy birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
They wouldn't even give you that, except they want to make sure you get away from where they are on the base. They want you out of the town,
Yeah.
out of sight. Get out of here. Here's your
Yeah.
ticket. Get on that plane or get on that bus or train or whatever it is, and get out of town and don't come back.
And
See ya.
if you were a problem, or they thought you might become a problem, they would get you the worst possible job that didn't fit your skill set for a Scientologist who was trying to get back into Scientology. And so that person would take advantage that you just work 15 years for $45 a week. And they'd tell you, dude, if you come work for me, I'll pay you $250 a week. And you're like, what? And so
Wow.
they pay ex-Sea Org members $250 a week to do a full 40-hour week. And they take advantage of them. And if something goes wrong, or, you don't do something, then they let OSA know, like, oh, I think he might be posting on the internet. So yeah, it's crazy.
Wow.
It's so crazy.
It is.
Yeah.
It really is.
Here's another one from a viewer. If you go to the staff dentist to reset bones, you might be in the Sea Org.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Finger.
You did that. That's because his finger was broken or whatever, and
Yeah.
he went to the dentist.
And the dentist
Or-
did an X-ray
I
with
know.
his little
We were
dental-
talking about it. He
Yeah.
did an X-ray.
Yeah.
The Claire got in a motorcycle accident at the base, and she broke her leg clean in 2 places, and she broke her
Tib fib.
tib
And
fib break
broke my shoulder.
and broke her shoulder. And when she was in recovery and had metal in her leg and all this stuff, the medical officer was taking her to an appointment at the hospital and slammed Claire's hand in the door when Claire was getting into this really tiny Honda Civic. That was the MLO, the medical liaison office car, was this tiny little
Where's the ambulance?
Civic. And
when the accident happened, they didn't call an ambulance because David Miscavige was on the property. Security put a splint on my leg. And then they put me into the little red Honda medical car and drove me to the Hemet Hospital. And by the time I got to the Hemet Hospital, I was completely in shock and frankly in danger of losing my foot because they'd put the wrong splint on my leg. And they had to do like 5 hours of testing because I came very close to losing my foot altogether because it was both bones completely broken clean through. But yeah, so this incident that Mark's talking about was Becky Horn. I was on crutches. She came to take me to a doctor's appointment, and she parked her like low POS car right next to the curb. So I had to lower myself down. I was on crutches. So I handed her the crutches and I grabbed onto the edge of the car and like maneuvered my broken leg into the car. And I was still holding on, and she slammed the door on my hand, and I started screaming. But she had to walk all the way around. And anyone who knows Becky Horn knows that she's not a fast mover. And so
the slowest.
My hand,
she went all the way around to the driver's side, opened the door, got in, and Claire's like, "You slammed my hand, you slammed my hand." So then she gets out of the car and then goes around.
Yeah. It's like I didn't lose some fingers too in that process. It was just like, oh my gosh.
She literally almost broke all of the fingers in Claire's hand. It was like
I could see my bones like through my fingers. That like 2 of them were completely smashed. I could see the bone. I was like, well, looks like I hopefully didn't lose a finger as well. At least I'm going to the doctor.
Oh my God. I can't even the pain that
Can you imagine though? You coming to get your leg checked? Yeah, and I also got to x-ray my hand too.
We'll have to take you to the dentist for that.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I know. I mean, seriously, I'm very lucky I didn't lose my foot in all of that.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah. The emergency room personnel were so mad. They were so pissed. And the sad part is that, I was in shock physically. I mean, I'd completely destroyed my leg in this motorcycle accident. And they were like, "Who put this splint on you?" And I was just like, "I don't know. I don't know." I said, "I don't know." And that's because I was in shock. And I learned, my uncle who lives in England is a very well-known pediatrician. And I told him this story and he started crying and he was like, that response, "I don't know," is a psychological sign of trauma and stress. Like when you just shut down. You just shut down and you're like, "I don't know." And he was besides himself. And I had no idea. I was like, it makes sense in retrospect. And yes, I was protecting my abusers by saying that, honestly.
I'm sure you were.
Yeah, it's crazy.
The other thing is, well, because
ahead.
she had that accident. If you have an accident, that means you're out ethics. That means
potential
you're a potential trouble source. The reason that this accident happened is because a dog ran out in front of another person that was driving a motorcycle in front of Claire. And she moved in front of Claire to miss the dog. But she did it without doing she just turned right in front of Claire when Claire was coming up behind her, but she slowed down at the same time. And Claire's leg broke the foot peg off of the other girl's motorcycle. That's how hard she hit the back of the other girl's motorcycle, is that she broke the back foot peg off with her leg. And then when she hit the deck, she broke her shoulder. But
And part of it too was
she
I'd had
pulled
like
that
2
in.
hours
It
of
was like-
sleep.
yeah, it
I'd
was
had
like-
2 hours of sleep, so my reaction time was shitty. Let's just call a spade a spade.
I crashed into that wall, you know, where you go under the freeway and then you go turn. There's a
In the tunnel.
a stone veneer wall. You turn really sharp and
and
go
it's
up
slippery.
well, yeah, and I couldn't get it turned enough, so I ran straight into the freaking stone veneer wall.
Did you crash on one of those Honda 110s, or was it a TW?
No, it was a moped.
No, but which one? The little red ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
the Honda 110s that everybody had.
Oh, yeah.
But
I
that
was
you
borrowing somebody's. That
oh,
was me.
you
Oh,
crashed
boy.
on somebody else's bike?
Mhm.
Oh,
that's never
Were you okay?
I was okay. I mean, like I was in bruises and it hurt, you know, and somebody else picked up the bike because I couldn't do it, you know. Anyway, it was too heavy, and plus I was hurt, you know. But I didn't break anything or anything like that. But what a stupid, like the turn is like almost it's super sharp, and there's a brick wall right there. I'm sure
Yeah.
I'm not the only one. The handlebar clipped it, you know, and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
that just flipped the whole thing.
Oh
Yeah.
no, Amy, there was an
It was a
accident at that
very-
intersection every week. It was always a problem. That's why
Yeah,
they
so-
started putting the sand in the paint in that area, because it was all those walkways were always so slippery that they
Yes.
kept having accidents, and they started to put sand into the paint to give it some grip, because it was like, you know, every single week somebody's breaking an ankle or a leg or a foot or a
Right.
finger because they're just
It was-
wiping out. You know, now they all have to wear helmets.
They do.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, because what
Wow.
was that kid that worked in RTC? Brendan. What was?
Oh
you know what I'm
yeah,
talking
Brendan
about.
O'Hare.
He had an accident.
Oh,
He got
Brendan
brain
O'Hare.
damage. He had a motorcycle accident. He was going 70 somewhere and had an accident, and he got
Was-
brain damage. And now
Wow. Is
he the one-
everyone has to wear.
He does a
helmet.
hate video on me on my on my
No, he
hate-
doesn't.
Seriously?
O'Hare, Brandon O'Hare. If that's
Yeah.
who you're talking about,
Yeah.
yeah, I've got a hate video on my site from him.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
it's like-
Yeah, it was a big deal.
You know,
Yeah,
the craziest part, just to close out, when I had my motorcycle accident, the craziest part to me to this day is that Mark, obviously, we didn't work together. We were on the same property,
Oh yes.
but Mark was like, I have to go find Claire right now, right? You tell it, honey.
I was in the
Yeah, what
executive office, and I was in a meeting, and I just said, I have to find Claire right now. And everybody was like, why? And I go, I don't know. I need to find her right now.
Is that right?
Something's
Oh, really?
really wrong. And she had just had the accident like a minute before. And I called the
Wow.
booth and I said, hey, do you know where my wife is? And they said, yeah, she just had an accident, and they're doing a bunch of stuff. And all the guys in the exec office were like, dude, what the hell, dude? And I was like, it was really kind of crazy. Because even security were like, why did you call us? And I was like, I'm worried something happened. And they go, something just happened. And I was like, okay, where
Wow.
is she? Da 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 da.
Isn't
da.
that crazy?
And yeah, and
Yes.
everybody was getting really spooked. The only other time that happened was I had a neighbor down at Sublet. And when we were in the Sea Org, our neighbors were not Scientologists. They were just lived in a house next to us. And the husband kept calling the property and saying, your dog's barking. Your dog. Our dog lived in the backyard of that house. And they said, hey, your dog's barking. Your dog's barking. And I went. And I kept putting him in. I'd feed him or something at lunch. And then I was talking to the old guy like, hey, what's the problem? He was like, what's that? And I said, why do you keep calling about the dog? He goes, what's that? And he was deaf.
It was death.
And I was like, well, it's definitely not him complaining about the dog. Anyway, it was his wife, and her name was Mrs. Jackson. Her name was Ann Jackson. And every few weeks, they'd get a call and be like, Mr. Jackson's on the phone. I mean, it's not him. It's the wife. I'm telling you. But she would make the husband call. Anyway, the husband ended up passing away. And the calls kept happening. So I was like, well, it's definitely not the husband now. And so she had called, and she would call into reception, and the PR person, Muriel, would get the call because it's a public relations problem that the neighbors are complaining about my dog barking.
And by the way, Muriel would write knowledge reports on us all the time about our dog. To
Yeah.
be fair, our dog was not in a good spot. I mean, we were never
Well,
there.
he was by
so,
himself all
you
day
know,
long.
He
out
was
on a golf
Yeah,
course,
he was.
and the golfers would walk by and he'd bark on them.
Yeah.
Anyway, and every time he'd bark at the golfers, then Ann Jackson, and I used to call her, not the nicest thing, but you know, I was in the Sea Org and this was a big hassle for me. And I used to call her Anthrax Jackson. So Muriel came in one day and I was having to spend my entire lunchtime to go over there, drive down there, give him some food, pet him, play with him, mess around, and then put him back in so that he wouldn't bark. And so
Because
I didn't
obviously
eat lunch.
I wasn't going to do this because I
Yeah.
was in RTC. So,
Yeah.
you know, Mark had to carry the brunt of this situation. Very definitely.
Anyway, I'm sitting at my desk and Muriel comes in and she goes, did you figure out a handling for your dog? And I said, yeah, Anthrax Jackson's going to die today and then I'm never going to get a call again. Anyway, and then she was like, you really need to handle it. And I'm like, well, if she passed away, this would all be done. She's she's like 95 years old and she can barely pick up the phone. And I was just like, it's getting ridiculous. I think this is her only activity in life is calling me. Anyway, Muriel called me an hour later and she says, I'm writing a knowledge report on you. And I said, okay. I said, I'm going to sort it out. And she goes, no. I just went to go see Ann Jackson and there was an ambulance there. She passed away when you were telling me that she should pass away. And she wrote a knowledge report on me for killing Ann Jackson.
because you said that.
Because I said it. And she was like, that's super not okay that Mark killed one of the neighbors on Sumblet. And I was like, what are you talking about? Okay.
Your BTs were activated.
I was frustrated and I said something not so great, but I didn't do it. You can't write a KR on me because I did it. She wrote, there's a knowledge report in my folder, my ethics folder, that says that I unalived a woman on Sumblet Road.
That you postulated
I
it.
postulated it, and it
check
happened.
this out. Richard Cohn and Kathy Rinder were in the RPF. And they're looking out the window, and there's this homeless guy. He's walking across the parking lot, and Richard goes, "There's nobody in that body." And Kathy goes, "You're right. There's nobody in that body, right?" I was in the room with them, watching this guy walking across the parking lot. Wham! Face plant, dead. They came, put a white sheet over him.
Oh
They put a yellow tape around the area and they took the guy away. I'm telling you, he
What?
took 20, 30 steps after they said that and face planted in the parking lot.
What?
Yeah, it was really
Oh
weird.
my God. That is so spooky.
I
That
would
is
not.
really
I couldn't.
spooky.
That same woman, we were shooting. That was when I worked in the manufacturing area.
Yeah.
When we were shooting a movie next to where the castle is, the Cine Castle, we did a big explosion and we were setting off bombs and we were shooting rifles and it was a lot of pyro and all this other stuff. Well, on the other side of the levee was a dairy farm and the cows got spooked and there was a stampede and one of the cows broke its leg or something. It got in the stampede and they had a baby. It had a baby. It was a pregnant cow, or I don't know how any of this works. I'm not a scientist, but when the cow broke its leg, they had to put it down, and I had to pay $1,500 for the cow and the calf, and I didn't even get the meat. That was it. It was just like, nope, you got to bill.
Why did you have to pay?
Because I was the shoot crew chief, and I was the one shooting the scene, and they can't bill the lighting guy, anyway. But or the pyro, and yeah, Muriel came to me the next day after we did the shoot and she said, you're getting a bill from Treasury for $1,500. And I was like, what? She goes, yeah, there was a stampede at Toll's Dairy and you got to pay for a cow and a calf. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. But, and when I escaped, Muriel was the one who drove up behind the cop when the cop was talking with me, like what was going on. And she was, what's going on with Mark? And I was just like, oh shit.
Mark does
Muriel,
the best Muriel impression in the world.
You jacked this one up, Muriel. I was almost out of here. And now and then literally he was like, it's okay, ma'am. Move along. We're good. Take care of this. And then he looked at me and he goes, where are you trying to get to? Because I had been kind of like playing a little story with him up at that point. But as soon as he saw her, he was like, oh, I know she's from Golden Era. They're on to you. And then it was like, yeah, where are you trying to get to? I'm like, U-Haul. He's like, okay, we'll get you there. But it was
Mhm.
Muriel.
Yeah.
After all the time she
Ah,
put me on the rack, I'm like, oh no, Muriel, you're not going to be the savior today.
No,
oh
definitely.
man, Muriel. I can't believe she's still on
Why
that.
don't you
Let me guess.
give away one of your books? I see people asking
Yeah,
for
we
it.
got
Oh,
we're
people
up
are
to
asking for a
350
book.
entries.
Yeah.
Okay, check it out. Let's go ahead and do a
You could just fire
the
it
next
right
one.
back up, right?
I know.
Redraw.
Yep,
Yep.
yep. I'm in it right here.
Nice.
Let me see. How
This
do
is
I?
for Scientology abuse at the top.
Yeah, draw again. So this is for Scientology, Abuse at the Top, signed by Amy and her husband, Matt, with one T.
We got to get some audio for these.
Da 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 da. Winner,
West.
Jency Cress, Jency West.
All right.
Yeah, good. So write to me, Amy, at scoby-publishing.com, and we'll get it mailed out to you right away. Good. Did you want to do a giveaway at this juncture or no?
Sure.
Wait till you
Yeah.
want to do it now?
Yeah, let's
okay,
do
good.
it.
Draw again.
Drawing again.
This is for anything from the Blown for Good merch store, book, or anything else.
Yep.
Jody
Jody
Kelly.
Kelly.
You are a winner.
Congratulations.
Somebody asked me if why they all have a YouTube logo on them, and I think it's because these are YouTube usernames. I don't think this works with Facebook. So if you're watching on Facebook or if you're watching on X or something like that, I don't know. I'm just maybe there's just more people watching on YouTube's and we haven't seen a non-YouTube one, but that's my best explanation for that for whoever's asking.
Yeah.
Because when I look in the chat, everyone's got a YouTube logo
Yeah,
next to their
That's what it looks like to
icon.
us.
Yeah, yeah. That's what it looks like. Good. Well, congratulations to the winners.
Yes.
So
We're
we
gonna do questions.
Yeah, in just a minute.
Okay.
So I want to finish the end of this list,
Okay,
and then we're almost done with the end of this list, and then we'll go to questions. Okay? Is everyone good with that?
Yes,
Yep,
I'm fine.
all
I'm
good with
not
that.
going to blame anything going over because I was telling too many stories.
Okay. But that's okay because that's half the fun of it.
It is.
Okay, so and we don't have to go on big rolls on each one of them or anything, but so if your church told you that a family member died when they didn't,
oh,
you might
totally.
have been a Scientologist or a seer member.
That's sick.
Hashtag
absolutely
Liz Ferris. Liz
Yeah.
Ferris.
she's-
Yep.
I
She's been
still
in the
can't
chat,
believe
so-
that happened. That to me is, I never heard of that when we were there. So when it happened, I
Oh.
was like, I don't think so. And then when it happened 2 or 3 different times, with
Yeah,
two
like
different,
Surge even.
I know. I
Yeah.
was like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how they're disconnecting by just saying that person passed away. So you don't even have to look for them or worry or anything. It's just like, oh, they're gone forever. Okay.
Yeah. Though to be fair, we definitely knew of instances of them making people change their names.
Yeah.
So the parents would not know that they existed anymore. Or
And
couldn't
even
track
send them out of
them.
the country.
Right. Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. Several I can give examples of that.
Yep.
If your church pressures you to turn over your children, might be a Scientologist.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you were forced to disconnect from a loved one, obviously, you might be a Scientologist. There are some other ones that do that, but Scientology does it in spades.
Yeah. And I don't think, I'm sure there are other organizations that do it at the same level as Scientology, but most don't. Like most, it's just strictly in the area of faith. You know, you don't have to completely cut them off and pretend like they don't exist or that they died. And of course, you know, we talked about this on Monday with Mike and Christy. This is the motivation of the Aftermath Foundation Aftermath Connect program, is to fight and hopefully abolish the practice of disconnection, because it is very destructive, it's very hurtful, and it destroys a lot of people's lives.
That's right. 100%. If you refer to outsiders, both men and women, as worthy Oriental gentlemen, wogs, you might be a Scientologist.
We get
Yes.
so many comments on the channels from UK and Australia because it's like the N word down there to say
Yeah.
it. You would never say that word.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they
Which-
put, that's
And
what
I'm sure
they,
that was intentional by Hubbard, by the
yeah.
way. I'm sure it was.
When we say it on the lives, they're like, you guys know that's like a really bad word. Like, you're
Yeah.
not supposed to be saying that word.
Like
and
for
then
them, it's like us
Scientology,
saying the N-word, basically.
it's in the spy file documents
wog
all the
or
time.
because of
No, saying
is it-
wog in
Wog.
in England and other countries is equivalently insulting as saying using the N-word.
Yeah, it's super.
It's literally that level of slur.
Yeah.
does it mean worthy Oriental gentleman?
No.
Or does it mean? Oh, okay, I
It
get it.
means like it just means it's a bad word.
It's a
you
bad
would
word.
never.
I didn't
It's
know that.
inappropriate to say it.
Very
And so they probably
inappropriate.
freak out every time because we say it
They
often.
do.
They do, and I
They
have to
do.
mention it in the spy files. I have to say this is Kirsten 5.0 writing this. Like the last spy file, I think it was in there like 4
6 or
times.
7.0.
No,
No,
we
it's
think it's
5.0.
5.0.
We're pretty sure it's 5.0.
Pretty sure.
But
If you know differently, let's document it very specifically.
Yeah.
if you were in the Sea Organ, you know how many times Kirsten's been married. We think it's 4.
Yeah, if you've lost track of how many times somebody has been married,
You
they're
may.
probably a member of the Sea organization.
Anyway,
Or they have
Yeah.
17 last names, you know.
but she
Yes.
says it in the last spy file document. She writes it like 4 times. In one document, she writes it 4
Wow.
times.
I mean, it was
like,
a word we
yeah,
used
just
all
a
the time. That's
normal
what-
word.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just-
Everyone,
and it's for
everyone
everyone
who wasn't
that's
Scientologist.
yeah, it's for everyone that's not a Scientologist. Is that?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Test driven. Kirsten,
What?
test driven by Kirsten.
It's just
Oh my
driven by
God.
Kirsten.
Ah, that is too funny.
There it is, Mark.
Yeah. Oh, gosh.
Whoopsies.
There is.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got Mac to crack up.
Yeah. Good comment.
We got some sparks flying here today, folks.
Oh my God.
So if you refer to people as either particles or terminals, yeah, you've got to be a Scientologist. Yeah, we talked about that earlier, talking about people as particles or terminals. Oh my
Oh.
gosh. Okay.
Hey, here's a good one. Look at this.
Yeah.
Stumble and
Swag.
mumble. I'm an SP and a WOG. I'm a swag. Love it.
Swag for life.
People have been posting some
Boom.
great stuff, actually.
Is that
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
so
yeah.
good.
They're
Yeah.
very
So
funny.
good.
Very funny.
Yes.
I love the contribution from everybody. It's so
I
fun.
know, me too. It's amazing.
Okay, so this one is if you never consider looking at or saying anything negative about your group or its leader, you might be a Scientologist.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's part of the thing is like you don't even consider looking at anything or ever mentioning it or talking about it, or like you go to a company and people roll their eyes at other workers, or a boss says something and then they say something about what a dick he is or whatever. It's just normal, right? You don't do that.
Free pride, Kirsten. You gotta click on that one.
Okay, honey.
What?
Can you keep your TRs in?
Yeah. Swag United.
No, that
No, no,
wasn't
no.
it.
No, there was another one. Something else about Kirsten. Hold on, I'll see if I can find it. I
Okay.
don't know that I saw it.
Okay. Oh, here it is. Refry cigs and rebry Kristen. Okay.
Oh my
Honey,
God.
calm down.
Mm.
Oh, see now, last time it was me. This time it's him.
Well, but the Kirsten ones are so funny because Kirsten is the one who has to write up the videos for all these. She's the one, if she's still even there. I mean, how can this
Yeah.
person have a job at this point? She's
I know.
an utter failure at her job, Dave.
Honey.
Just horrible. And the fact that she has to compile all these videos and write a report and send it up is the most insane thing ever, because we're talking about her most of the time. What does she put in there? I mean, does she write that we're calling her Kirsten 5.0 in the videos that she has to summarize and send up? To me, it's just,
man.
it's
You
more
want to
Keystone
shoot? I
Cops
think so.
craziness. So ridiculous. Kirsten
Oh my
I can't
5.0.
believe it. Okay, so let's see.
Oh.
So we're almost done. So this one is, oh yeah, if you're trained to stare at someone without blinking, you might be a Scientologist.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that the most ridiculous thing that you never use in life ever?
Yeah.
Well,
Stare at
somebody-
somebody without blinking?
No, but if somebody yelled at you and got really upset, you might just be like, okay, what's going on? Like, take it easy. Like, people can be upset around you and you don't necessarily get upset by it because you're like, oh yeah, no, I've had somebody yell at my face from 2 inches away for hundreds of hours. So
I know.
okay, whatever.
I know.
Yeah,
I think that you and Matt are particularly good at whatever on stuff like that, because I'm still
Sure.
a little bit sensitive and
Because
triggered
on
it.
it's just like this is all this is a big joke and no one cares about any of this. So it's just like you're so invested in this. Like I don't care. Like I'm not bothered that you're upset. Like it's like,
Mark.
I'm
Mark
sorry
said-
you're upset, but it's not gonna make me upset.
Yeah,
And then
Mark,
it just
Mark
makes the
says to
person
me
more
all the
upset.
time. Yeah, Mark says to me all the time. He's like, why are you getting so worked up over this? I'm like, he's like, why do you care so much? I'm like, I just do. I care deeply, but he's like, okay, well, you don't have to freak out. I'm like, okay, I'm not freaking out, but
The world's gonna keep turning,
I
whether
see
you
your
get
point.
upset or not. It's just gonna keep going. It's like it
Yeah.
doesn't care that you're upset. You being upset's not solving. It is not productive.
Yeah, Mark will be
I
like,
know.
how is your reaction here making this better? Like, yeah,
Oh
it's
my
not.
God, you guys are, that's what he says to me too.
Yeah.
You guys talk to each other behind the scenes. I
Yeah,
think.
we coordinate. We trade secrets.
Totally.
Yeah,
Like,
when
get
we're
the
working,
women
I'll be
under
like,
control here.
yeah, just let her do whatever she wants, but let her spend the money. But don't put up with any nonsense, Matt. You know?
That's funny. So here's one for you, Claire.
Okay.
If you consistently use clay, paper clips, or rubber bands to demonstrate what you're reading to yourself, you might be a Scientologist.
Oh my gosh.
You're freaking reading something to you.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Uh
Oh, we lost
Demonstrate
you. You
Yeah.
what? You muted it.
What? No, I'm
oh.
not.
No, you're
Oh.
good. You were just you were so excited. The mic was like, take it easy. Take it easy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it happens when I get a certain pitch,
Yeah.
when I'm laughing. It's probably
Yeah.
a good thing that it mutes it. But anyway.
Yeah, remember
that
that in Scientology they would call OT3, operating Thetan level 3, the upper level, the wall of fire. And then on student hat, there was the wall of clay. Do you remember that?
Yes.
You had to do like massive amounts of demonstrations
Right.
using clay people to like nothing could be written on the paper. It just had to all be shown in clay. You had to do like 40 of them and it would take days and days and days.
Days.
Yeah.
I don't touch that stuff now.
Oh my gosh, me neither. I don't even like Play-Doh anymore. I mean, I'm like, no, I don't like Legos. I don't like Play-Doh. And I definitely am
Paper
never
clips.
touching clay. Yeah, no, I do not
I don't know
use
why
it.
we always used
Oh my
because we
God.
didn't have proper demo kits. What's a proper demo kit? A Hot Wheel and
Yeah.
whatever.
Paper clips, a rock. Remember they made the demo
Shells.
kits were just all a bunch of rocks.
The best was, remember, Amy, so at the international headquarters, you would study in this building. It was called the spa because it used to be where the hot springs were. People would sit in these saunas. So it was basically like a giant shower. The whole building was like a giant shower. There was
All
tile
tile.
everywhere. But on the patios of these is where you would do your clay demos. And the patios were right next to the highway and they weren't covered. So the sun was out there on the patio and we would study at night. So we would go out on the patio and you'd do your clay demos and you'd be making all your people. And sometimes if you had to do a clay demo that took a few days, you'd have to make all these people. It would take hours and
army.
hours to make this thing that
Army.
you're supposed to demonstrate in clay. Like that could be the purpose of security on the INT base. And it would be to keep people out of the INT base. And so you'd have to put a whole property there and make little people and fences. And so this could take you several days. Well, in the summer, you'd be out there at night. It's like 80 degrees at night. The clay is nice and warm, so it's easy to make these things. And then you build your whole little village for the next day you're going to finish, and you'd come to course the next night. And this thing you spent 2 hours on, it would just be a pool all over the table.
No.
because it would just melt it during the day. And so the next day when you'd come back, it'd just be, oh, there's nothing. All your labels, you label all the clay people and you write all these little pieces of paper and you stick it in the clay. And the next day it's just a sea. And then the opposite was in the winter. You couldn't even mold the clay because it's 20 degrees out. Fahrenheit, sorry, people that aren't Fahrenheit, but it's like hard as a rock, and you have people out there with what would they use for the clay? Those things for baking?
Mallets.
No, for baking.
Rolling pins.
The
Rolling
pins.
pins. That's how you'd make like walls and stuff. They had a rolling pin there, so you could mass produce clay. But yeah,
I have
when
a
you guys were
question.
saying that, that's all I thought of is coming up there, just a pool of clay.
I have a question for all three of you. Have you ever pillaged pieces from the leftover clay demos from other people's to build your clay demos?
100%.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
because
That's
it's such
all
a
I-
waste of time. If somebody, I look in the bucket. If somebody's got a man, I like perfect.
Yes.
Did you ever find one where somebody had like basically done a work of art on the human's face,
I wanted
like
to know
muddled
who
it
did it.
with a nose? Like I would just
Yes.
poke eyes and a mouth, but sometimes
Yeah.
you'd come across ones that had been just
Sculpted.
incredibly artfully sculpted and constructed, and I was like, wow, man, someone
They needed-
really put a lot of work into this.
Yeah.
They
You're
needed
like
an
this.
idol report.
I was like, yeah, this person spent way too long at the clay table. And that was
my
also
goodness.
that was also the thing. You didn't have to read Hubbard or listen to Hubbard if you were doing one of those. So it's basically like you're just playing, like you just
Yeah.
do.
I'm
It was a
still
good way to
working on
pass the time.
I saw that someone said that the Ideal Org's clay demos are only rocks.
Oh, Catherine
So-
Olson said that. Yeah, here I found it here.
The
right
demo
here.
kits.
Yeah.
The demo kits are only rocks. Yeah.
Yes.
That's a separate thing. That's not a clay demo. That is just a demo.
yeah.
There's two demos
The
you have to
paper
do.
clips.
Yeah,
when
now
we were
they're
talking
just
about the-
rocks. Yeah, like those ones you get from Bed Bath and Beyond that you fill like in a glass vase with. That's what they make the demo kits out of, just like shiny rocks and
Yeah,
little.
but that's actually not was written by Hubbard as to
Yeah.
what those were supposed to be, but whatever.
Yeah. This one, Kathy wanted to know what was the purpose of making clay figures. It's just to put.
No,
Okay.
I know how to explain it. So part of the barriers to study, one of them is lack of mass. So the idea being that if you don't have an actual understanding, for example, if you're studying about an engine in a car, but you've never driven a car, you've never seen an engine, you have no idea how it works, then you have a lack of mass. So then if you build an engine in clay, now you have an idea in your mind that gives you the mass of the idea, and now you can study it with context of what that is. That's what it's about. Is that fair?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
it
the
was good.
clay we would use would be modeling clay, not like Demi Moore ghost clay. Not like
Yes.
if it's the kind of clay, it's the kind of clay that you're putting. Like you can make things like I'm gonna make a fire truck. Here's some yellow or some red clay, and we're not making pottery clay. That's
Right.
there's no
No.
kilns involved. You know what I'm
No.
saying?
No.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my.
Okay,
goodness.
here's the last one on this, and then we'll go to the questions, which Matt came up with. He says, if you've ever been reported on for being reasonable, you might be a Scientologist.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
or if you've gotten in trouble for being critical, you are a Scientologist, right?
Mhm.
Because critical
Yep.
thinking is encouraged out here in the world. Like our kids in school, they're encouraged to think critically and ask questions and throw ideas around. And we're like, wow, how different is this from how we were raised?
Yeah.
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 Even Claire, when Claire was trying to do things for the staff, she was called worker oriented.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
worker oriented and disaffected. Those were his two labels.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yep.
like you're not organization oriented. You're worker, or you want the worker.
Right.
Yeah.
To
If you
be
won't
good,
torture
happy.
the staff that work for you,
Yeah.
if you won't torture them, then it means you're work oriented.
Yeah.
Yeah. One time I developed this whole theory, which to me tied in perfectly with all the ideas of policy, which was there's the concept of you look at somebody's ethics file and you look for a fat ethics file. That's if somebody's getting a lot of reports written. And you look at their PC folders and all this. So I had this idea like, oh, well, you could tell how well somebody was doing on a post because, on that position, they wouldn't have a fat ethics file. They were doing good. Their stats were up. You could look at all those elements and use that to evaluate where that person could do well, compared to if they're on an executive position that they're in over their head, they're getting massive amounts of reports written on them, their stats are down and all this other stuff. So I just suggested this to Marty Rathbun. I was like, hey, this is how we could figure out where people correctly belong on positions that they can comfortably handle. Oh boy, that went over like a fart in church, let me tell you.
Why? I mean, because that's logical.
Because I was
Anybody should be
work-oriented.
Yeah, anybody should be able to be capable of anything, and that's how it is. So screw them. If they're not good, they need to get good. It was literally like that is the viewpoint. Like if you can't swim, we're gonna throw you in the deep end, and you're gonna stay there until you learn how to swim.
Yep.
Yeah, it is
We're not
like
giving
that,
you a
yeah.
hand. We're gonna push you down even every chance we get.
Yeah.
That's right. Tie a rock to you and make it a little bit more hard.
Yeah.
You're wrong too. Yeah. There's a lot of examples I could say about that, like being in Copenhagen, traveling Europe by myself at 16, getting lost.
Yes.
Anyway, so you
All right.
read them, I'll click them.
Yes. Tell Perry on. These stories are crazy. Amazing people on the floor, almost shooting penetration testers, most ethical people on the planet. All right. At least it makes for amazing anecdotes and YouTube content.
Yep.
True enough.
The Scientologists that are watching this their minds are being blown right now that this stuff goes on at the base.
Yeah.
Because we're hearing from them.
Laura
boy.
Font, just looking at your Facebook post about your appearance at the Tampa Veterans Administration. Good job, guys. Keep up the good work.
Nice.
Yes. Do you want to explain that what that was, Amy, or you want me to explain?
Yeah.
Or are you guys going to do an episode about it?
We should probably,
Yeah.
yeah, because then we
spend
can
the
show
time.
photos and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So that was an event that was attended by Matt and Amy and Mike and Christy from representing the Aftermath Foundation in Tampa today. Go to social media for the Aftermath Foundation, learn all about it, and we'll definitely be putting out a newsletter sharing all the latest news and updates.
Nice.
Yeah. That's a brief statement, and then we can elaborate on it and stuff like that a little bit later.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Okay.
Heidi Wirt, dying to tell you this. At a party last night playing a game called Celebrities, David Miscavige's name was pulled out of hat. The guy acting it out mimed a miscarriage. And we guessed it. New nickname.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
Oh, wow.
That is
Oh, my
amazing.
gosh.
Kirsten,
That
I'm
must have
sorry,
been a
but
highlight.
you're going to have to report that. We talked about Dave Miscavige, fake Davy Navy specifically. So you have to write that his nickname is Miscarriage in the popular vernacular.
Yep. There you go.
Okay, and then
Sandra Hartley,
this one.
thank you for the super sticker.
yep, and then there's one. So she probably did one on both of our channels because there's two of them here. Thank you
that's
so much,
nice,
Sandra.
Sandra.
Thank you. Christy Lynn Wilson, if you've been married 5 times but never had a legal marriage certificate, you might be a CIRC member.
Oh my
Boom.
gosh.
There you go.
What are the chances one of those Kirsten marriages, or maybe even more than one, was never she works in the legal department of the church, and she might not have had a legal marriage.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I want to be a SP. Osa, you've been turned into a Jeff Foxworthy joke.
Yes.
Yeah, there you
It's
go.
Very true. Very true.
True. Gary Meek, if you have to convince yourself daily that something insane is okay, you may be a CIRG member.
Absolutely.
True.
Such a true statement. Oh my God.
Yes, definitely. Amy PH, thank you for the super sticker.
Thank you so much.
Jorge Avila, if you get paid $50 a week, maybe you might be a CIRG member. Yes, exactly.
Hey, Jorge.
Hey, Jorge.
He used to be a
Yes.
security guard at the end base.
Yeah.
Yes, Thomas Russell. Hi from Santa Clara. Love what you all do. Thanks. Well, hello and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Thomas.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes. Jorge
Here's
Avila
another
again.
one.
If you have to wear a badge that says, quote, I'm a chronic liar, unquote, you might be a SEERG member.
Yeah.
That was one
Oh,
of the tags
God.
that we had to wear from David Miscavige.
I
You know, we
forgot
had all
that.
these. Do
So
you remember
every
this?
Sea Org member had a little piece of Velcro sewn into their shirt above their pocket. So everybody wore these Formica. They were laminate, and they had a different color underneath, and then a different color up on top, and they'd cut out the plastic, engrave it, and it would say, Marc Headley, Pancake QC, Manufacturing Division, and Dave Miscavige had a great idea one day to take that machine and just make it say whatever he wanted it to say. And so he had like one that said whatever, they were very creative. When you guys had to wear them, were they the fluorescent ones? Was it that time period?
Yeah. They were fluorescent orange, fluorescent pink, fluorescent green, and yellow, and these.
So everybody had like blue or black or white. But if you had one of these Fluoro ones, then we knew that was a Dave custom number. And then people would want to see it. Like, what's it say? What's it say? And it said like pathetic or whatever, pathological liar.
Yeah, stat
Or-
pusher, degraded
Stat
being.
Suppressive. He had ones that just said
merchant.
suppressive person. Just like that, suppressive person.
Yeah.
How about Debbie Cook? Tell about Debbie Cook, because she had a whole sign hung around her neck.
Yeah,
Oh,
I know.
yeah.
That was
And put in a
That was
garbage
awful.
can with water being poured over for like the whole day.
Don't say the word,
yelled
though.
at.
Don't say the
Yeah,
word,
don't
though.
say the
No.
word.
I
She
won't.
It was
But
very
yeah.
homophobic slur. She
Yeah.
had to wear that on a sign and put it around her neck while she stood in a trash can and people poured buckets of water over there. If you don't know, we got to find that video, Claire. We'll put it in the link in
to
the
it.
description.
Yeah.
But
I do have it on my channel.
Okay, good. There is a video testimony of Debbie Cook saying this happened years after all of us were no longer at that property, and we thought it was as worse it could have been when we left in the 2005. Debbie Cook is telling stories that happened 5 years later, and it was on a whole nother level of crazy at that
Real
point.
bad.
Yeah,
Real
very
bad.
bad.
So we're telling you the
I
stuff
have
we
that.
know of. Once you hear about some of the stuff that happened after we left, it's even crazier.
Yep.
Yeah. I do have that testimony on my site. It's really good.
Nice. We'll link to it.
Yeah. Okay. And then here's Jorge again.
Avila. If you've been thrown in a freezing ass lake in the middle of winter, you might be a SEERG member.
Yeah.
Yep.
You need to stop posting, Jorge, because you're these are all could be episodes. Okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly.
That's very true on that.
Very
Oh my
true.
God.
I have been Purple Groovy 69. Scientology is really good at doing and saying all the wrong things correctly.
Correctly.
Yes, there you go. Boom.
Did you just say that you have been thrown in the lake, Claire?
Oh yeah, I was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, several times.
You were
When
too,
she-
Mark?
Oh yeah. When she was in Golden Era in Qual, she was in Qual in the exact period of the most horrific time they had in a period. It was the 3 or 4 years that she worked there. Was that whole time they were
man.
getting, if you were late once, you had to stay up all night, and if you were late twice, you had to go to the RPF.
Oh, yeah.
If anything happened during the day, you just get walked down to the lake and they'd throw you in, and it was cold, and it was also there were like dead animals and nasty. It was like kind of
disgusting.
sludgy too.
Yeah.
So, but
I
I remember
I had to make that walk of shame from the lake all the way to the garage, squelch, because they wouldn't let you take your shoes off or anything. You had
they
to
made
just
you do it in full
get
uniform.
shoved in everything, and so, yep,
Yeah.
that happened.
It's like
And they say something like, may you come up a better
They
person.
say, I commit you to the waves. May you arise a better Thetan.
I commit your sins.
I
to
commit
the
your
waves,
sins. Yeah.
to the
I
waves.
commit your
May you
sins to
arise
the
a better-
waves. May you arise a better Thetan. And then
Yep.
they push you.
And then they
it's
shove
not
you.
you can't jump. Yeah, you
Yeah.
have to be pushed in because it's a
ceremony.
ceremony.
It's a Sea Org
Exactly.
ceremony. If you jump, you have to get back out, and they have to push you in. So if you jump in, that's a freebie. That's on you. You got to get back out, and then they have to push you in.
You have to be pushed in.
I've seen it. I've
It's
seen
the
it.
active. It's the act
It's
of
horrible.
humiliation with the statement. that is the mental torment that's all about.
Yeah. And sometimes it would a whole division. It would be, we'd see a department of or bureau of CMO int or all the estates guys. It would just be like, oh boy, something's going on. They're all going to the lake. If you see a bunch of people going to the lake with Gerald, you're like, yep, they're getting thrown into the lake. And when it was, near freezing, that's not fun at all.
No.
They had to stop doing it because so many people were getting sick. So many people were being thrown in, and it was nasty, microbes and horrible.
Yeah,
stuff.
like an example is when the on-base, off-base survey was done, which, that's a whole story for another day. But if you answered that you wanted to live off-base, I was in Qual, the training division at the time of Golden Era Productions, and anyone in Qual who answered no, that they did not want to live on the property, they wanted to live in town, was thrown in the lake. But here's the thing. This was November, and as it happened, the whole division had been shut down because David Miscavige decided we all sucked. Newsflash, that happened pretty often. And so we were on a schedule where we started at 6 o'clock in the morning. So at 6 o'clock in the morning, there were 70-year-olds, Marge Hill, Clive Hill, Penny Mace, Sheila Aldrich, all of those people specifically sticks out in my mind because I was like, this is literally like nuts.
Elder
they were
abuse.
Pushed in the lake at 6 o'clock in the morning. It was dark. It was freezing. We're in the desert, and it was absolutely not okay.
Yeah.
Damn.
I mean, I went to the rehabilitation project force 4 times, but I never got thrown in the lake.
You never went in the lake at the base?
I didn't do the rehabilitation project force, but I got thrown in the lake several times.
Yeah. I think I would have rather go in the lake than spend 5 years on the RPF.
Yeah, I'd agree with you on that. I'd agree with you on that. I mean, I wouldn't recommend anyone being thrown in the lake either.
No.
But I definitely, in my mind, from having experienced my mother going to the rehabilitation project force when I was 7 years old and I was not allowed to talk to her or anything.
Yeah.
That was one of my benchmarks. Like, if anyone ever tells me I'm going to the RPF, I don't care who they are. I'm the hell out of here. Like, and it never happened, and I escaped. And, plenty of other crap happened that was not okay. Yeah. But yeah, that was like one of my, like, don't ever do that to me, honey. Let me tell you, you're going to see you're going to meet a different Claire.
Yeah. And that's what catapulted you out of there, Mark, right? Somebody said you were going to go to the RPF the next day. It's like, okay.
Yeah. I'm like, see ya. Would want to be
Sayonara.
No.
Yeah.
Well, because I knew I'd never see Claire again ever if I did. So I was like, I'm out. But this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Christy Lynn Wilson, for someone obsessed with looking at words in a dictionary, it's amazing that LRH didn't know the definition of ethics. Compliance is not ethics. There you go.
Yeah.
Hubbard has all his own definitions for ethics and justice.
Whatever's
and all that good
convenient.
stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Salty Beach Girl Lori. Question: is Matt allowed to eat lunch and watch TV now, Amy? Such a slacker.
Right.
Yeah, I think we got over that after the first 10, 15 years.
Oh, yeah. I am constantly telling Claire, we have to slow down. We got to slow down. We got to take it easy. You don't have to fill every single minute of every day with some work. Okay, we got to just take it easy.
Yep. Woosah, woosah.
No, she's like an automaton. She's like a machine. She would work until 11 o'clock every night if I didn't make her not work.
It's true. I often do when he's out of town. And then he'll call me. He'll be like, what are you doing? Like, I'm in my office working. He's like, honey, we've talked about this. I'm like, I know, you're right. But I had some stuff I had to get done. And the kids are finally in bed. Anyway, whatever. Yeah, it's bad habits.
We're all
bad
workaholics,
habits.
really. We're
Yeah,
workaholics.
we are.
Workaholics.
We are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. It just seems so natural, and it seems unnatural to be idle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
It's
So
really
many.
I mean, I even find myself like, Matt's coming in. Okay, what was I doing? I was doing something.
I don't even pretend in the slightest. Claire knows this. I'm like, she's like, are you going to go to work today? I'm like, no. I'm not.
And I've gotten to where I'm like, good, that's awesome. But I will say that, the whole Problems of Work, which is one of the books by L. Ron Hubbard, and the various different policies, how to handle work, do it now. Speed of particle flow alone determines power. And so like the amount of times I've had people in my business, like they're like I respond within 30 seconds and they're like, oh my gosh, you're fast. And I'm like, sometimes I have to be like, should I wait 10 minutes before I respond to this email? I mean, and to be fair, there's many times that I fall behind, and I have gotten a lot of emails from this. So I'm sorry if somebody feels neglected because I'm talking about this, because I do focus on my work. But it's kind of a, like finding a balance has been a struggle. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
With the Hubbard definition of play, he says play is work without a purpose.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Problems of work.
I mean, how is that?
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Anyway,
No purpose.
Yeah. It is. That is maybe the hardest thing, is just taking it easy.
Yeah. Lathonda Grocklinger in the house. If you just shrug and say, oh, that's just another PI about a weird stranger watching you, which happened today, by the way.
Twice.
You might be an ex-ESO member. Love to all of you. Yes, twice today. I
We
literally
have-
have pictures on my phone of somebody that I was convinced was a PI.
Yeah, we
I'm
were
like,
having
Probably
lunch,
was.
and this guy put his phone up at the table next to us, like he was watching a video, but it was pointed at us while he was sitting there. And Claire was, and the person we were with knew our story. And they actually, we were going to a Depeche Mode concert. We saw a concert in a Depeche Mode concert in San Antonio, and they sat next to us, and they were SPTV fans.
This was
That's so
earlier
cute.
this year. Earlier this
Yeah.
year.
Anyway,
Yeah.
there's a concert tomorrow in Denver. We're going to see him tomorrow. And they flew in for that concert, and we're going to see him at the concert and all that.
We're
good stuff.
so
good.
excited.
But they were sitting and they're like, what about this guy over here? What about that guy over there? You know? It was just funny that there were two people that were a bit sus, as the kids say.
They were completely sus. Sus nails it. Yes,
Yep.
we're joking with our kids. Look at us trying to be millennial parents. Sus. Okay. Poya. Question. When you were a loyal member, when someone blew, were you jealous or did you feel betrayed? For me, I'd say both. I was jealous and felt betrayed.
I was always happy because I was like, that person didn't want to be here. So why should they be here? That's even when there was one time there was an announcement. Hey, if you have anybody in your area that doesn't want to be here, this is the time. It's just like get out of jail free day. And we're going to get rid of those people. And we sat down in a meeting, and I told this one kid who worked for me in the shoe crew, I said, I know you don't want to be here. And I said, you want to be off with your dad in Seattle flying planes or doing whatever kids do. And he goes, his boss looking at me goes, is this true? And he goes, yeah, it actually is true. And he got up and he left, and that was the last time we saw him. He went and they let him go back, and he lived with his dad in Seattle and did it. And he's out now. He's not in the Sea Org. He's not involved with Scientology that I know of. And when we met up, I was like, yo, dude, what's up? He's like, thanks a lot, man. You saved me. I was like, oh, that's right. I remember. I was like, you don't want to be here. He's like, I don't know how you knew all that, but it was 100% true. And I let go because of that. And he was the only person that I ever know of that sort of happened like that, where I was just like, you don't want to be here.
Oh, what?
That time when you were security at the base saying anybody who wants to leave, tell them about that real quick.
Yeah, I mean, it was a time when Hubbard said anybody at the base, at the international base, he was saying that basically there wasn't enough production coming out, so it meant that people had counter intention, and the way to handle that was let everybody go who wanted to go without any stops or slows. Actually help them, pack, drive them into Los Angeles, get them on their way.
No freeloader bill.
No freeloader bill. The whole thing, just you guys can leave if you don't want to be here. And I thought, I was in charge of security at the time. And I thought, okay, there's probably going to be like 10 guys going to come across. All you had to do is step off to the side. We had about 250 people at the base at the time. 70 people stepped off to the side.
More than
For
a
real.
third right there. Boof.
Yes. Yep. And they were, allowed to leave.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
I think they refer to that. There is there's an issue, an advice where he talks about getting rid of the deadwood. And I think it was in reference to that time period. We have to do like we did in PAC and get rid of the deadwood. And so whenever there was one of these lists it was the deadwood list, and they would always be compiling this list for when these people would be gotten rid of. And every once in a while, it was just like, boof, 80 people are gone. And you'd be like, oh yeah, they were on the deadwood list. And it was just like, okay, good for them, man. I hope they have a good life. They got out the easy way, just got let go.
I know.
Yeah.
Didn't have to break
Unbelievable.
Marty D, question. Did I hear there's an SP bracelet? If yes, which store is it at? Yes, you did. It's at the spshop.com. And there's all kinds of fun stuff there. Mike Rinder bobblehead, SP bracelet, Aftermath Foundation merch, and now also our new Aftermath card designs, which are right here. We have these ones, and we have the curious ones with the QR code that you can get there as well. So there you go. Get your Davy Elf as well. And don't forget to submit your pictures at blownforgood.com. We'll be doing some special Christmas edition lives to share your amazing creativity.
Yeah, and for all you people that are on the SPTV Discord, I've been spying on some of the shoops over there, and I'm like what's going on. I like what you guys got going. So
nice.
If you want to join in on that fun, we can do that too.
Nice. Buckled up Buttercup. Lack of math lost me.
Mass. MASS.
Oh, mass. Yes, mass. MASS. So the 3 barriers to study. 1, misunderstood word. 2, lack of mass, M-A-S as in Sierra, S as in Sierra. 3, the skipped gradient. There you have it, folks.
Mm-hmm. And mass being the physical object.
Yes, and so we could probably do a whole episode on that, in which you'd be very disappointed to learn that I know all the phenomena of all of the barriers to study verbatim to this day.
Oh my gosh.
Too much.
Way too much. Nancy New 12 saying either of those words in the UK could have you arrested depending on the situation and person you're saying it to. Wow. There you go. See? The more you know, the more you know.
People get really worked up when they watch us from down under or UK. They're like, that's not a good word.
And it's really upsetting. And it's frankly upsetting that this was intentional by L. Ron Hubbard.
Yeah.
You just know it was. I mean, it's not like he operated solely in the United States of America.
No.
He allegedly was a world traveler, and yet he was oblivious to this being a negative word, and he just chose it as a negative word in Scientology because it's a slur in Scientology too. That's how it's used. So it's 100% intentional.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Philip Wright. Message electronic rapid communications. Merc me just to drive Osa nuts. Message electronic rapid communications. Merc me. Yes, exactly. Thank you, Philip.
We always said that.
The Mercury system.
Mercury.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Was this?
We were talking about that on a video the other day. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Maybe it was with you guys.
No, I think it was with Mike and Christy.
They asked if they had email in Scientology.
Yes, and we were talking about how they had. The Mercury system is a very primitive version of email, well before email existed. It was just completely an internal system. Yeah. So that's what that's in reference to.
For all you computer nerds out there, it was on a VAX VMS system made by a digital computer.
There you go. Kimberly Stovall. Any word from Serge O's family that Matt visited?
You guys might have more information about that.
Yeah, so the family's still in Scientology, no. But there's been many other connections that Serge has been able to make, including with a half-sister he didn't even know he had. And so Serge is doing really, really well. Special shout out and thank you to Serge Del Mar, who's been helping Serge Obolensky actually do a number of art projects, which is just amazing. And Serge Obolensky is now considering going back to community college to get an art degree, which was his original passion. So we'll see where it all leads, but he's doing well. Thank you for asking.
Yeah.
Yes.
Poia again. Mark has said LRH used the N-word a lot. Why wouldn't he embrace other racial slurs? Well,
That's
come to
true.
find out, he did.
Well,
He did,
no.
though.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. They're saying, why wouldn't he? Of course he did.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah,
It
we
makes sense
did.
that he would.
When we edited
Of
the
course.
lectures at the headquarters, we had to take out slurs in his lectures, and yeah, it was one of the it was in the that's how you did it. There was burps, farts, coughs, wells, and sometimes they'd cut lots of words out too. Somebody was going through these and saying, we got to cut this out because you can't say any of that. That whole sentence.
Unfortunate
is
choice of
wrong.
words was
Yeah.
a common occurrence.
So there was
Yes.
even sometimes pages of stuff that would have to be cut out of what he said because it was super inappropriate. But I
didn't
do
know
always
that.
like to mention that there is a thing called when you burp and fart at the same time, which there were, I think, at least 1 or 2 instances of that having to be cut out. And that's called a double pipe classic, when you burp and fart at the exact same time. But if you served in the military, and fortunate for Hubbard, he did serve some time in the Navy, I think it was, right? Was he
Yeah.
in the Navy?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was in the Navy.
Navy, everything.
Very
Yeah, so
briefly.
because he was in the Navy, it's called a dual flute salute when you burp and fart at the same time. If any member of
Okay, Mark.
any of the armed services, it's a dual
You're
flute
out of control.
salute.
Fun,
Here's the
fun,
final
fun.
question.
The more you know,
The
Buck
final.
Buddy.
The more
If you
know.
were forced to sit through Battlefield Earth 3 times, you may be in the Sea Org. Oh yeah, completely. Absolutely.
Did you guys have to see it 3 times where you were?
Yeah.
But we
You
slept through
did?
it.
Yeah.
It gave
Yeah,
us a
I
chance
slept
to
through
sleep
it
'cause You're
too.
in a dark theater, right? It's nice
Yeah.
and cool.
And-
So
Yeah.
you're like,
Yeah, completely.
I watched
think-
the first one, and then halfway through the second one, I went and saw Gladiator, and I was like, now this is a movie. And then I watched Gladiator again for the last time, and then right before Gladiator ended, I snuck out of Gladiator back into Battlefield Earth. So when the lights came back on, I was like, oh yeah, all right.
Oh.
But I had just
If
been
you
watching
snuck out of
Gladiator.
Battlefield Earth to watch Gladiator when you had been ordered to watch Battlefield Earth, you might be a suppressive person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
the
kidding.
movie was so bad.
So bad. So bad.
Mark, you,
brain
you always
rot right
broke the
there.
rules, didn't you?
Yes, he did. Always.
I was always trying to follow him,
always.
and I'm the one that went to the RPF 4 times. What the
I
hell?
know.
Yep.
I was a smooth talker too.
Yeah, I know. You were always so fun, though. I got to tell you, you were just fun to be around. You know, I enjoyed whenever I had to go on the cine shoots and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Aren't
because
I
you-
pretty
you were
much
just
the
so-
same person that I was
You
then?
are. You're totally the same person.
I try to tell
Totally.
people that all the time. I'm like,
Yeah.
they're saying I was this bad person. I'm the same. I'm this. I was this. Just there.
No.
I was same.
Yeah.
No different.
Yeah,
Yep.
very, very similar. Very similar.
Yep.
So I think that we do a final giveaway for whatever somebody wants, right? And then,
Yep.
and
then
then
we're good.
Then we
And-
wrap it all up.
Yeah, and then for next week we'll have a little bit of a changed schedule with the week of
Yes.
Thanksgiving, but we'll announce that. So we'll do a shorter broadcast and stay tuned
Yeah.
for exciting things on that front. But yes, let's do 2 giveaways if you're good with that, Amy. I'm good with
Yep,
that.
I am.
Perfect.
I am good with that. Okay, so here we go. Ba-da-ba-da-bum. Draw again. We got 400 names almost in there. There we go.
Nice.
Well,
And it comes down to winner Melanie.
wow. Good job.
Congratulations,
Yeah.
Melanie.
That's awesome. But now we have 402 in there. We're going to draw again.
Yep.
Nice. You don't have to say merch me again. It's still going to get you.
Right.
You just have no. It
Yeah.
just redraws and it just doesn't include the people that already won.
Yeah.
Peace
Peace
Dog.
Peace Dog won the
Boom.
other day too.
Really?
Peace Dog.
Did he?
I'm pretty sure Peace Dog won another one of these, or maybe he won when we were just random picking.
Or he's just always in the comments. That's a very common.
Yeah.
I've seen Peace Dog a lot.
I think Peace Dog is a frequent flyer. So if you haven't won
Yes.
before,
Frequent
congratulations, Peace Dog.
Yes. Whatever you want out of
Congratulations.
either of our places.
I love your
That is
profile pic,
awesome.
Peace Dog. Nice.
I know. It's awesome.
Tell them to like the video and
Yeah,
subscribe.
Yes.
No, go
Yes.
ahead.
Yeah, she's like, yeah, go ahead there, fancy pants. Tell him.
Yes. To all 1,200, almost 1,300 people in the chat, Please don't forget to like and subscribe. There's no cost to do so at Blown for
That's
Good
right.
and at your channel name is Amy
Queen Bee.
Queen Bee. Yes. Queen Bee SP.
Oh my God, Queen BSP.
Yeah, sorry. It's been a very long day. So make sure to get over to both. Hit like and subscribe. Don't forget to get over to at the Aftermath Foundation. Like and subscribe there as well. It's free of charge. There's no OSA connections. They cannot see our subscriber count. And all that happens is
they can see our count.
Well, they can't see the names, I meant.
Yeah, they can't tell who.
They can't tell who's subscribed. But the benefit is that you get notifications when we're putting out new content so you can be up to date. Yes, there you go. Perfect.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and we'll see you all really soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.